Hi friends, good evening, and this is your host Ankit Khanelwal joining you from Delhi, India, and we have Kimberly Calhoun joining us from Raleigh, North Carolina, and we have Nick Palaveda joining us from Raleigh, North Carolina. Good morning, Kim and Nick, and good morning to the world, and welcome to IBMTV Startup Wednesday. Nick is still dressing up to join us.
Just give me a minute. Just give me a minute.
Maybe it's my bad to pull him off.
Okay, there we go. There we go. Right, I don't have my suit and tie on yet.
I've tried to invite some people who started their businesses and now they're saying that they're not startup, they're a full-fledged business. I hope they will all join on time. But in India, I mean, it's COVID time, and then there are a lot of cases going around, so I am not sure.
Yeah,
about,
hey, listen, Ankit, I totally understand that startups in COVID-19, they can't show up because they can't turn their bloody computers on, and I mean it's just really tough for them. And the social distancing they can't handle through the internet. I mean, come on, it's like every bloody excuse in the world. They'll either show up or they won't. I'm going to have listen, Ankit. They'll show up or not. I'm going to have a very nice steak dinner tonight, so I really don't care. So if they show up, that's good. If not, I'm having a nice steak dinner tonight. So, what difference does it make? It's like it's for them, not me. I mean, that's kind of like it, but they don't get it. But
eventually, Wednesday. So this is the middle of the week for business people in the U.S. This is the middle of the week. But you know what? You're right, Nick. And here's what I got to say to startups: the true success is first showing up. Trust me, I know.
But that's a tough one.
But the other is distribution. You're not going to get anywhere without it. But find your ground out there. Find what you need to do, and then come see us because with us. You're up here. Without us, this is you.
Yeah. You need an us. You need a team. You need a bunch of people to be successful.
There's one more thing, Kim. The problem is that we are not asking for any money to be on the show. But if they wanted to do a paid PR, they will definitely go and do that. So I don't understand what's the problem coming on.
It's called the synapses up here and working as a team, and you gotta have your team. And so with that, let's go ahead and bring
read the book Startup Masters 101.
Our team players, we've got team players everywhere. Look at that, our team we doubled in size overnight. Can you believe that? Only in America and Canada and India can we do that. Namaste. Well, I mean, it's a problem, Jim. I mean, we got
coast to coast too.
Because yes, we have Alexander Starr beaming in from Canada, and of course Jim Eade from San Francisco, and Bill Trezevant, our Washington correspondent. Which I think we're going to start right now. I hope we do with the Washington report, so I can update myself what's going on the Tower of Power.
Let's find out.
From IBMTV, International Broadcast Media. This is your report from Washington. There are 55 days left until the presidential election. The newly renovated Rose Garden at the White House is undergoing extensive repairs due to shoddy construction, including significant drainage issues. The problems are so bad that when the First Lady spoke during the Republican National Convention, the RNC covered the entire lawn with AstroTurf. The South Lawn is also severely damaged, rendering it unfit for Marine One to land. For now, Trump has to take the car. On the campaign trail, Trump has been busy. Trump will announce today that he is withdrawing troops from Iraq. Trump is planning to release a potential list of Supreme Court nominees in an appeal to his base. The peace agreement between the UAE and Israel will be signed at the White House next week. Trump signed an executive order yesterday expanding a ban on new offshore drilling in the Atlantic, particularly around Florida. Trump also announced that if the House investigation into Postmaster DeJoy reveals that he illegally contributed to Trump's campaign, Trump would immediately fire him, creating more turmoil at the post office just before the election. Trump further admitted his campaign is running out of money after squandering over $1 billion and pledged to self-finance his campaign for the next 55 days. Further, Trump accused the military of perpetuating war to keep the military-industrial complex happy. Trump's Department of Justice has asked the court to allow it to replace Trump's personal defense lawyers and instead, at taxpayers' expense, defend Trump from rape and defamation charges. Finally, Michael Cohen, Trump's former personal attorney, believes if Trump loses, Trump would resign and seek a pardon from Pence. It is unclear if this would include the rest of the Trump family. Joe Biden will be in Michigan today unveiling his economic recovery plan for America. In other news, India reported over 89,000 new cases today. India also announced that schools would reopen for students in grades 9 through 12 and that the Taj Mahal will reopen with a limit of 5,000 tourists each day. The UK announced that it could break an international agreement as post-Brexit negotiations heat up. At the same time, Britain announced a ban on groups of 6 or more as officials continue to combat the spread of COVID-19. And Australia has green-lighted funding for 2 potential vaccines. We shall see. Finally, the COVID-19 death toll from Johns Hopkins University is over 189,680 American souls lost and 898,020 global souls lost with no end in sight. That is your report for this day, September 9th, 2020, from IBMTV, International Broadcast Media, smart television for a smarter global community, from dictatorships to democracies around the world. Good morning, good afternoon, good night. I'm Bill Trezevant.
Okay, Bill. I heard all that. Let me tell you something, okay? So it's good morning. You get to listen to bad news the rest of the day. In the middle of the day, just what you want to listen to is bad news. And then at night, you can't even get to sleep because you listen to bad news. I mean, dude, what is going on here? When you go good morning, well, it's not a good morning. I just got to listen to a horrible report. Good afternoon, well, it's been a miserable day, and now it added to it. Good night. I can't sleep anymore after listening to that report. So, you know, I don't know where we're going with all this.
Right. We need Dr. Toole
Can we shoot the messenger? Just a minute.
Dr. Arthur.
Okay, but my only defense is simply this: if my reporting is somehow upsetting, I'm going to throw the weatherman under the bus because they never get the weather right and they never get fired.
Well, notice we do not have a weatherman on IBM TV. You know, by the way, the IBM actually owns the Weather Channel, but that's a whole nother story. But we don't have a weatherman on IBM TV. We just barely ventured into the political arena, and man, look at all the hate mail. I mean, sorry about that. So
what you're saying is that I have nobody to throw under the bus. So the buck stops with me, right? Is that?
Oh yeah, right. As a matter of fact, if anything goes wrong politically, we'll blame you. But we have an escape. Ben Coates at Great Britain, we know is the originator of all the problems. So we'll just go blame Great Britain at the end of the day, wherever he is, you know, which isn't here.
We don't have a weatherman.
We're missing you.
And we barely touch on climate change.
Yeah, we don't we don't touch on climate change. We don't have a weatherman, so all we have is the Washington Report, which I believe you're going to have American Politics coming up this Sunday on IBM TV. Can you tell us a little bit about it?
Yes, our guest is Mosey Boyd. She is an attorney with her own law firm called True Grit Law Firm. She's in Fort Wayne, Arkansas, and she has been active in politics for a very long time. And during this past election cycle, she ran for president of the United States, and she was on the ballot in a number of states. In addition, she is the founder of an organization called Madam President, which is dedicated to electing women to the highest offices in the land, including the presidency. And she's done extensive work in this area and has a long history. And so we thought that for American politics to add context historically to this race, including Vice Presidential nominee Harris, that we would start with Ms. Boyd. And it should be an interesting conversation.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, those people get no love because in the great United States of America, there are two parties, there's two ways of thought, and that's about it. You can't think outside these two little boxes. That would be above our comprehension, unlike India. You also did mention India, and I thought that was quite interesting. So that India's COVID-19 has exploded. So hey, Ankit, what's going on with your country? Get it under control, dude.
They're going back to school.
Yeah.
So, cases are growing up and, spiking up with different symptoms. And it's like a new spike. And, symptoms are now little more than mild. And we are recording more than 90,000 cases. In my city, which is not a big state or a city, we have 4,000 cases today recorded. So a lot of things going on. And, apart from that, we have opened up the schools and metros. We are working on opening up schools basically for higher standards. But metros are opened up, and then all apart from theaters and big events, everything is opened up in some manner or the other. But it's difficult to manage like big population like us, and then a lot of things going on, and which is not good, and people are not happy about it. But I don't know what's happening, and we are still staying at home for more than 6 months and keeping ourselves safe. I know a lot of people now that who have some COVID cases or who have some symptoms going around here and there, and which is not good for us. But you never know what's happening.
Wow. Yeah. Yes.
What about the tourism there? Bill touched on that they're opening up some tourism. What's causing? How are they?
They're going to open up the Taj Mahal.
The problem is that So the problem is that a lot of people go in India also to visit Taj Mahal. So Taj Mahal is something which is a big news. They don't talk about small tourist places which is already open. So it's like people can visit Taj Mahal within a quantity of 5,000 in a day. But generally on a good day, it's like 100,000 people visit Taj Mahal every day. So 5,000 is just a number basically, and that's because we need to have something for people so that they just divert their mind from COVID and start talking about or thinking about something else, and it's a part of our practice basically. But apart from that, there is one more news in India which is heading around since since yesterday night, which is about Oxford vaccine basically, and Oxford has stopped his trial as of now because there was some disinfection or some cases happened to one of their donors or one of their research person who was working with the Oxford thing, and this is a big news. But I don't know much about it because we don't have much details. So if Ben would be around, we would know about what's happening.
Once again, we already know this is all Great Britain's fault. I mean, the thing is, they haven't put up with the give us the vaccine. Now, on chess, has chess shut down? I noticed that Teamer Jim did not show up, a no-show, and instead you had my friend from Colorado who did show up. And we're looking forward to this blindfold master to do a blindfold expedition. But I guess right now we're blind on without Chess Without Borders. So has the borders all got shut down at chess, Jim?
Well, before we get into the chess world, and Timur and I will have some words, but I read about India again. I actually know where the Taj Mahal is, so I feel pretty sophisticated.
Wow.
And I wanted to ask about the rural, because you actually made the New York Times today, and we think of COVID as urban centers. But you
read the New York Times? I thought you were in San Francisco.
Out to the rural areas.
Yeah.
So the rural areas are being reported. There's no way of coping with the COVID that is expanding in the rural areas. So at least there's no hospitals, there's no treatments, there's no pretty much anything but the people themselves who are inadequate to the task. So it's not just New Delhi, it's not just the concentrated populated areas, it's all over India now.
But is that what's going on, Ankit?
I'm not sure what Jim is reading because every media have their own agenda, and I'm not sure what he's talking about. But the problem is that to manage big countries, we have different standards and different governments to work it out. And if you talk about Taj Mahal, in that state we have 200 million people living in that state. It's like a small country. And
it's like it's bigger than Japan, and that's just one of their tiny little states. I guess that's the problem with India, that we have no comprehension of a country that has 1.3 billion people. you know, because 300 million, oh, that's often some tiny state somewhere. We've got another 300 million over here. We got another 200 million over there. I mean, we don't even have any comprehension on that.
I mean, especially considering the United States only has 330 million, so we'd be the 0.3 in India's, you know,
Exactly.
Yeah, right. That's the problem. We're just a decimal in India's population count.
Did you know that? I mean, in our in India during the election, it's a saying that a person who will win UP, which is the bigger state in India, Uttar Pradesh, that one of the person who is a part of that election, they will be the prime minister. That's a state because most of our PM is from the same state because they have most number of parliament seats.
Yeah.
And that has been true since more than 70 years. I mean, we have who wins UP, he will be the prime minister. Simple as that.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, a big country with nobody. Hey, but let's go to another big country that has very few people. And the guy came from a bigger country with few people. The Russia, Canada. So someday they'll make alliance. They'll be huge. But anyway, they're not doing that right now. Canada seems to get along with everybody. Alexander Starr, what's going on in your great state of Canada?
Okay, we're slowly overcoming this COVID-19 situation. In Ontario, there were 28 new cases and one death. So, so things are not as good as they could be, but again, compared to what? Compared to other countries, including our neighbor, this is not a bad result. The situation, what I heard, is not as good as in British Columbia, and they're completely closing all public places, restaurants, halls, whatever. And Ontario following that closely and may also close everything. I mean, 28 new cases is not so bad, but why should be?
Is that 28 new cases or 28 deaths?
No, 28 new cases and one death.
28 new cases. Now, hear that, United States of America dudes. 28 total new cases, not what we had, I think, was like in the tens of thousands. It was some astronomical number, and our death toll like is 1,000 a day or some crazy
that would be
number.
low for my county.
Really? Yeah. I mean, it's just like astronomical, and they have a population of 24, 34 million people, and they'll have 27 total cases. That is unbelievable, which it just shows, at least from when I pull the data, what a bad job we're actually doing here, even though our Australian funds don't like to beat us up. It just doesn't sound good. Yeah, Bill.
Well, I mean, actually, what we should note is that all of the experts have said that whatever people decided to do on Labor Day was going to impact the spread of COVID-19 here in the United States for the fall. And what we had is, just for our viewers, there were a number of expansive parties where nobody was observing social distancing or wearing masks. And as a result, we're seeing outbreaks, particularly around college campuses. Mm-hmm. So, Tim?
Yeah, and we know it affects the younger people less than it does the older people. But the problem is then the younger people infect the older people and they start dying. Yes, Kim?
That's what I want to make a comment on. And somebody made a comment, we just need to get it over. But the thing is that we don't want to overwhelm our medical industry. That's some of the things and messages I get from our doctors is yeah, we can treat it, but don't overwhelm us. Let us be able to treat all of you in a way, because like even when I was at the ER the other day, all the beds were taken up because of the schools had opened up and then they had seen an overwhelming amount of cases. And again, some hospitals are having issues and some aren't. But that's what you don't want to have happen if you want to control this. The other thing, Nick, I wanted to bring up is, it being Business Wednesday. And I had mentioned that miracle pill that they had been working on and started the human trial in 2012. And we have been investing in it since way before 2012. The NIH has been spending about $4.7 million of our taxpayer dollars. Well, guess what, Nick? I've done some homework because I, like you, thought, well, maybe I might want to invest in this. Certainly, there's got to be some patents somewhere. Guess when they pulled it out of research?
2016.
Yeah.
2018.
November 18th, 2019 was a report that they decided to pull it out of research just before the pandemic hit. Now, this is a drug particularly designed to work and prevent. It's designed to build the immunity of the upper respiratory to help prevent diseases. Okay, to help prevent upper respiratory diseases and to protect the human body, to build the immunity, to help protect the T cells. I mean, I did a lot of homework on this drug, and they pulled it on November 18th, kind of like our pandemic team. When did they fire the last of our pandemic team?
About the same time, 2018, I believe.
So I'm a little curious about because this had already passed the human trial from 2012. And here's what's odd. You know, they pulled it saying that they didn't notice a lot of significant difference. Yet I read an article last year, so from 2012 until last year, that there had been a huge significant change in the upper respiratory systems, and in particular during flu seasons for older people. So this drug apparently was working last year, but all of a sudden they decided, now you pull something off of the research table, it has been taken over, I think, by some drug companies. I'm going to do some more research, but I just thought that was interesting as a business.
Mm-hmm.
I just thought that was interesting.
Yes, Mr. Jim.
Yeah, I was going to say, because we once again mentioned youth and how the virus may not affect them as much, especially because they have a better immune system. But kids get it, college kids get it, and it's a novel virus. We have not been able to study the long-term effects because we haven't had time to study the long-term effects. They may very well be getting brain damage, organ damage that is long-lasting.
Right.
So we cannot just say, "Oh, the kids, it's easy. You know, go to your frat party. You know, get drunk. You know, get COVID. You'll be okay." We don't know they'll be okay.
Right. Yeah, and the thing is, what is I find very interesting is that during World War II, that they had the Enigma project. Remember, to decipher the code, and all the chess players know that because guess who was on the team? CHOD Alexandra, and all these top chess players, for some reason, love to decipher the Enigma code, and they eventually broke that code. Then afterwards, we had this thing called the Manhattan Project. Reason, we wanted to build an atomic bomb, and with, you know, before everybody else built, before Japan and Germany built one, and we actually built an atomic bomb by bringing the best of the brightest. And so for COVID-19, we brought together the best and the brightest under the name of what group? Excuse me, panel. Hello.
I'm trying to think, because I mean the closest I can come is.
Okay, is this the Marshall Plan? Is this the Manhattan Project? Is this the Enigma Code, or
it's the CDC? And because the CDC was taken over by the current administration.
No. I just want to know what the name of the project, so we can follow them on IBMTV and the research and development they're doing, guys.
There is no name for the project.
Pence has control of it unless he gave it to Jared. I'm not
asking for excuses. I want the name of the project. Okay, guys, we're gonna have to dig in and find out the name of the project. Okay. Is it the Enigma Project? Is there a Manhattan Project? Is it the? I've never heard of it, so that's the reason I want to know what this project is. Because collaboration is never easier. Remember, in the Manhattan Project, they had to bring everybody to Los Alamos, New Mexico, which is the middle of bloody nowhere. Fly them in
countries, by the way.
It's what?
They brought up people from all over the world.
Yeah, right. Yeah, matter of fact, they have some good photographs of all these wonderful people. I think Oppenheimer was in charge of it at the time, and they had all these people in charge of doing the Manhattan Project, some of the best and the brightest people, but they had to bring them under one roof because it was difficult to collaborate otherwise. Now, in COVID-19,
it was not collaboration between different countries. Sorry, they didn't bring other countries, like never mind Russia or Germany, but even England. They were in fact competing with England at that time, but England was in no position.
Well, I think what they meant is we stole people like Einstein from different countries.
That's a different story. Cooperation ideas. Still, yes.
Right. Yeah,
the governments were talking, but
the government was doing that. But what are we doing from a collaboration standpoint? The United States are entered internationally in terms of a project to solve this COVID-19?
I don't
Yes.
think that the United States is well equipped to collaborate with anybody at anything. It is well equipped to steal, intimidate, fight, but not collaborate. Sorry.
Okay.
Oh, no. I disagree. I just have 2 quick points.
There we go. There comes the American.
All right. Yeah. You see stronger America behind me, Nick. The point is.
There it is. Yeah.
USA.
Right. The point is that we do have a name for the program. The president has told us it's called Warp Speed.
There we go. Yeah.
Okay. Now, Warp Speed is the name of the project that is completely decentralized and non-cooperative. However, Sasha, I do just want to take a bit of issue. The United States is not out there bullying people. We have a current administration, but that is not necessarily the history of the United States. So you can't say that, we're bullying and stealing like we're thugs on the block. Right now, we only have, one person that's questionable. So, but the rest of the time, the Marshall Plan in the last 60 years and Bretton Woods and everything has been collaborative.
Bill, would you remind me?
I think we'll have some disagreement on that.
Remind me about a reason why United States entered the First World War.
Louisiana was U-boat. The U-boat took down the liner with 128 American citizens on it. That was the reason. That was
the pretext. Yeah. So, is there another Russian reason why? Let's hear from the. Why Russia thinks we entered the war. I mean, remember, you guys surrendered, so we came in to save your butts a couple times.
That's right.
I mean, remember, we sent you planes and all sorts of stuff in World War II, buddy. I mean, the thing is, we guys are allies.
Let's not to jump between First War and Second War. They are different topics.
Okay, all right. So let's talk about the First World War. Why did we get involved in the First World War? Let's hear the Russian
First World War. Okay, Lusitania is a plausible explanation of that, but of course the real reasons was not Lusitania. 128 people got dead. Or it's almost 200,000 dead now from coronavirus, and U.S. is not going to war against China for some reason. Why? Nobody knows. The reason was completely wrong, and the idea itself to enter First World War at the time when both sides were collapsing. There were no winners in First World War, saving entrance of America, and that created seeds of a Second World War, which was complete catastrophe from all points of view. So if U.S. would not enter First World War, there would be a peace, and very quick one, between all parties, because no one could continue the war.
That's a great theory, Sasha. I have a question though. Then, so if you could answer this, why did we go into World War One? I would like to know why too, because I study that. Hey, we went in, but no one says why. And forget the Lusitania. That was a stupid little ship.
That was the reason.
That was the pretext. What's the real reason?
The real reason was U.S. calculated that both sides were absolutely exhausted and collapsing in any time. So in order to control what's happened in Europe and extract fruits of the whatever peace agreement would be there, United States entered the First World War, and at that time it looked like it was very, very calculated and a good move on the United States, but the further development proved otherwise.
Well, the thing is, this way we could lead the Treaty of Versailles, and rather than shy away from it. But we're doing International Peace Day, and International Peace Day on the 21st. And one problem I have with war in general, everybody when they look for reasons for war have a hard time finding out why did this take place. We know everybody fought, we know all the battles, but we come down to the absolute reason why, other than tribalism, I don't see good reasons for war.
It's all history of development of a human civilization, that there are wars between tribes, between nations, between people, to get resources, to get women, to get goods, to get gold.
We're fighting over you, Kim, in case you didn't know.
It's true in baboons too.
Right. Okay. So it's a human issue. Okay.
No,
We'll
it's
talk.
an ape.
Absolutely. In fact,
issue.
as I said before, 365 days a year should be devoted to war, because this is the main thing what humankind learned to do. A war.
Oh, okay. So we're going to have National Peace Day, and we'll have one day of peace the rest of the
I
day.
know, but Nick, I've identified who is pro-war, and the president told us, and that is that it's the Pentagon, because they are pro-war in order to make sure that the military-industrial complex is quote-unquote happy, according to President Trump. And that means by way of contract. So there you have your pro-war demonstration.
They can't be pro-war, because I read they're the Defense Department. They're not the War Department. They used to be the War Department. They changed their name. They're now the Defense Department. So they're not pro-war.
Well, whatever President Trump says, think the opposite, and you're getting closer to the truth.
But still,
wait,
okay.
I have not ceded the floor.
Yes, Counselor.
World War I was the Treaty of Versailles, because Sasha is absolutely correct. That treaty, that peace treaty, set the stage for World War II, because it was so punitive against Germany that Germany was so angry at the rest of the world that they allowed a man like Hitler to get power. He was elected into power, and people followed him because they were so mad at what the peace treaty of Versailles had done to that country. So if the Americans got into the war to establish the peace, they did a darn rotten job of doing it. Because
but don't hang World War II on us.
Absolutely.
Hitler, what he did,
was the reason.
He threw out the opposition. He took over, and of course they allowed him to do that. I mean, the thing is, and to say, hey, it's our fault. I believe it's Great Britain's fault, because if they were able to maintain the peace, okay, we wouldn't have an issue. And there was an issue here. We didn't want to get involved in the European
Nick,
war
instead of law. And the peace treaty of Versailles was the reason.
I'm Phi Alpha Theta. I know a little bit about history, buddy. Okay, but
I know a little bit about law.
Just a little bit, right?
History.
Okay, but the thing is,
Versailles set the stage for World War II.
Okay, but
whatever
that's
happened
like saying
between
it's
World
Britain's
War I and World War II was the result of the peace treaty of Versailles, which was a terrible treaty.
That's like saying it's Britain's fault. It may have been what they would say in law, since you studied a little bitty poco a poco. It's a contributing factor, but it's not the overriding factor, Counselor.
It absolutely is. It absolutely is.
Well, the thing is, the reason we have additional panel, as I will defer to my other cohorts in this room, and so the thing is, I disagree, and I'll write my 400-page opinion on why you're.
Let's ask Sasha his opinion.
Why you're totally wrong, and then no, we're not going to Sasha, because then I have to. We'll go to Bill, President.
He knows I'm right.
We'll go to Bill first.
Okay. Well, I appreciate us foraging through history to debate that which has already occurred. However, I do want to point out a couple simple things. That one, America did win both times, but that's not so minor. That two, America did bail out Europe thereafter, and three, America did lead the way in establishing the United Nations and a spirit of cooperation, which I believe, Nick, was your initial point when dealing with the COVID crisis. That where are we when we were trying to, hey, Sharif, good afternoon, good evening, morning. The point is that Sasha, you were correct when you point out that America right now is not really being, playing well with other children in the sandbox. That is absolutely true. That is because of the current administration. Nick, you were right, because we don't have a coordinated effort, even though we have a name called Warp Speed. Jim, you were right, because we do need a change in policy and approach.
Wait. Jim's my political opponent, so let's go. Go on.
Okay.
I learned that from Politics 101.
If you're losing the battle, get rid of your opponent.
Just get rid of your opponent.
Okay, well, that's Hitler and Russia. Nevertheless, Jim, you're right, because our withdrawal from the World Health Organization and refusing to cooperate on a multinational team to not only develop a vaccine, but also work out the ways and plans for distribution is what we ought to be doing, and we're doing the exact opposite, which lends or helps the image that we are a bunch of bullies. However, Nick, I know you're a proud American, and I know Nick is not a bully. I'm not a bully. I'm telling you, and Sasha, it seems to me that I don't know that we actually engage in war to grab women, because we have Kimberly, which is more than, and I don't think we need to see me. So Kimberly, you have the stage, because apparently you're a high value target when other countries come, because you're a high value target. So I'm listening, Kimberly.
Well, I think women don't tolerate certain things very well, and they, what they say about our wrath. But I think that Sasha's right that in history it was probably over women. There's always been a battle, the duels and things like that. But I think power, is just the intimate situation. I asked myself this question a lot because we saw the bombing of Pearl Harbor, and then we saw the bombing of our towers at 9/11, which was, in my lifetime, to watch something so horrific where somebody declares war. To me, it's not like you go into a boxing ring and you go, okay, ding, 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 war, right?
Right.
And this is what I tell people, just like hackers, right? If you want to be the hacker, you cannot play by rules and laws, because we have laws in our country that say you can't hack this way. Even if you're an anti-hacker, you cannot reverse hack. You cannot do this. You cannot do that. And I'm like, we're at war. This is called cyber war. There are no rules. Hackers don't follow rules, but nor do people who want to proclaim war on us. They do not follow any rules. Just one day you're going to wake up and something's going to be blown up. Mm-hmm. So I think peace treaties are good. Do you believe in them? No. I have this theory in government: trust no one. Trust no one, but work with everyone, right? Try to build the bridges the best you can. And I hate using this word, Nick, I do, and hope for the best, right? But at the end of the day, where we're all talking about all of these things that we need today, everyone wants a vaccine. Well, I think that they've had a pill, or a vaccine of some kind. They have known about it since 2008 and have been developing such products. And like everyone keeps promising a miracle drug on January 1st of 2021 after the election. And I think they've been sitting on it. They're definitely drugs. And I just pulled up something, Nick. Guess what? They pulled that drug out of retirement that they put in November, and they announced that it's now being tried for COVID-19.
Wow.
Same drug. This is what I said. I think I found it. And it's the same drug because of the immunity builder that's built into it. They've known about this since probably 2008, maybe prior to the human trials that they started in 2012. So from 2012 until now, definitely human trials, it's passed a lot. So it's ready to go.
Okay. So
it will be ready to go. According to
yes, Mr. Jim.
Yeah, we had a great president who I never voted for, Ronald Reagan, tell us trust but verify. So, we need to verify everything. And I want to go back to, because Sasha knows history as well as I do. We're both fans of history. So we should get out of the 20th century, because some people aren't prepared to talk about what happened in the early part of 20th century. So let's talk about the 21st century. And Obama administration, we had the Paris Accords, we had the Iran agreement. These were international agreements. This was the world coming together. And in the Trump administration, we have the World Health Organization is the problem. The CDC has been compromised. So we don't cooperate with anyone. So this is a new phenomena in American history that we're dealing with now. And hopefully we will go back to the ways where we collaborated with other countries, where we joined forces to solve problems like a global pandemic. Hopefully that will occur again. But right now, we are not cooperating with anyone. And no one wants to work with us because they don't trust us anymore.
Oh, wait. There's some people who want to work with us. We got our friends in Malaysia. Sharif has just arrived. Good friend in Malaysia. We did a presentation and with Bangladesh the other day, and the people in Malaysia are really cool over there.
And Putin wants to cooperate with us because he controls us.
Yeah. So Sharif, I mean, our Malaysian, we're doing cool over there, aren't we, Sharif?
Yes, Malaysia actually recent few days we saw that spike is increasing. COVID-19 patient is increasing. So yesterday it was 100, today actually 20 plus. So this is the alarming. Beside that, actually Malaysia actually closing the border with different countries, and they are trying to develop the Malaysian local economy. Let's see what happens. But definitely vaccine and this kind of things actually really important, because it's not only one country's problem. Now it's actually global issues. So Malaysia alone is it's not enough. Like example, even what's going on in Indonesia, Singapore, Vietnam, Taiwan's, even in India. I think last day conference, Professor Nick joined in the conference in India and Bangladesh. So so it's actually global problem. So definitely we have to do work together. We have to do work together. And beside that, I'm a very good fan of politics. So like yeah. I always
Nick, that is one vote for me. So
Oh yeah, American Politics coming up this Sunday on IBMTV, by the way, at 7 o'clock our time, which is 7 in the morning in Malaysia time. And if you're into investing, we have Investing with Sasha coming up today, who's going to show you where you should put your money today. Matter of fact, I got to show up because I've been told I got to figure out what to do with all this cash sitting on the sidelines by my company. And my business partner yesterday, hey, we're going to have to talk about this. And I'm going like, so that's very important. But we're also doing International Day of Peace, which is one day, September 21st, only on IBM TV. Talking to the guy yesterday, we're going to have Michael Douglas on our show. You may have heard of him. He's supposedly famous. A guy named Leonardo DiCaprio is going to be joining along with Stevie Wonder and the Ringo Starr. Those are the names he mentioned. So that's going to be on September 21st, only on IBM TV. We're going to have those people, plus our regular cast of crazy characters. But in preparation for International Peace Day, we need to spend more time with war because that's a very interesting topic. I mean, peace is going to be boring. I'm going to be falling asleep with that one. So, Sasha, here's my question to you. Okay, why is it that everybody wants to attack Russia? Napoleon wanted to go after it. Kaiser Wilhelm went after it. Hitler went after it. When all you guys have is people that drink vodka, play chess, go to the ballet, and a bunch of cold land. What's so exciting about going after Russia? In other words, on my list, I like to go visit St. Pete, but if you said, hey, I'm going to attack Russia and go hang out there, dude, it's too cold there. I'm just not going to do it. So what's so attractive about all your European visitors into Russia?
First of all, you mentioned ballet. If you know the history of Russian ballet, it started like glorified private whorehouses where people were also dancing. And once the time went by, and it's becoming sort of art form in a way. And then, of course, the dancers, so-called dancers, or whatever they called, they started to get professional training, and they were becoming better and better. And then top of them got their freedom that from this point on, they would do only dances. They wouldn't do other duties as they should. And so that's how the Russian ballet was born. And it became indeed very popular. And of course, people were very attracted because besides Russia, the ballet form was known only in France, nowhere else. So of course, everybody was attracted by this ballet houses, and all the top ballerinas, they were all lovers of Russian royalties, and even Stalin had several of them as his property, essentially. So Russia looks like, because it's not really populated country, it looks like it should be fairly easily won, the war against Russia. The only thing is that what they couldn't understand the psychology of Russian people. they are always been so exploited and their lives were so miserable, but they already used to that. So what they were always scared that if ever forward would be even worse. So they were depending on this horrible old order, not to go into something which could be even worse. Also, the different reasons were for starting the Napoleon War. Napoleon War started simply because Napoleon basically already won all wars in Europe, and Russia was the only last territory which was fairly easy to win against. And in fact, that's what Napoleon did. He got right into Moscow, and he got it all. The only thing is that the supply lines were getting a little bit thin, and because nothing was happening, and he was in Moscow now for a couple of months.
Yeah. But see, that was the stupid thing. He goes all the way to Moscow. All the Russians say, "Okay, you want it, you can have it," and they left. So now all of a sudden he has Moscow, and then he realizes this was stupid. So he turns around and he walks all the way back, losing half his army or 90% back to France because he finally realized it's cold, it's miserable. Why would you want to be there? So, like on my buy list, yeah, I'm thinking of America. We should go buy Greenland. I agree with Trump. We should go buy Australia, really nice island. But Russia, I don't think they're on our buy list. I think I would buy St. Petersburg. But come on, Russia, it's huge, it's cold. Why does anyone want it? Why was there a war where somebody went after Russia? Are these people out of their bloody minds? I mean,
you're right. Russia, if you will take Russian country as a whole, it's nothing but liability because there are enormous natural resources, but the climate is so horrible that to extract those resources, it takes arm and a leg and probably more. So just mention the Germany in Second World War. Germany has this peace treaty with Russia, as you remember. It's another peace treaty, the wonderful peace treaty between Germany and Russia, which is unheard of in last 2,000 years. Nothing like that ever happened. No, but it happened in 1939. Okay, peace treaty.
Right.
Now,
the Treaty of Brest-Litovsk.
Right. Molotov-Ribbentrop Pact. That's more or less known as that. Okay, but maybe you're right.
Yeah, we had a treaty.
So what's happened is that German, especially Hitler, he was irritated why England, in absolutely hopeless situation, continues the war and doesn't make any peace treaty with Germany. So he figured out the only reason why is because England knows that Stalin is preparing a war against Germany. And in fact, Russia did prepare the invasion of Germany. And one of the reasons now that it was so easy to do, because there were no Poland, there was nothing between Russia and Germany anymore. So now Russia could just move in, invade Germany very easily, and then England, of course, would join and win the war against Germany. So and it was going on for a long time. So the pretext for Germany to attack Russia was that at the end of 1940, after Russia got all Poland and Finland and many other countries, although Finland was bloody war and Russia lost a lot of troops there. But they did something outside of peace treaty with Germany. They got parts of Romania, and it was not part of the peace treaty between Russia and Germany. So now Hitler started to figure out what makes Stalin so bold that he went on to the next part of Romania without even consulting or even asking him to do so. So there must be a reason that Russia will join England, and Germany again will end up fighting on both fronts, and it's a losing proposition, as we all know. So he must attack Russia. But here's what's happened. He had to, according to the plan Barbarossa, he had to start the war against Russia in May, not June, May of 1941. And then he stuck for about a month, if not longer, in Greece and Yugoslavia, because there was a huge partisan resistance and he couldn't defeat it properly. and he spent way a lot of time over there. Finally, he pacified these uprisings there. But then he started war against Russia at, as we know, June 22nd of 1941. Well, it's almost not half summer, but a good third of summer was already over. So now he had to complete the war against Russia with a huge territory, army, and everything else. He had to do it in basically 2 months. Well, 2 months is too short time, and he got stuck with the winter. We all know what's happened next.
Yeah, but did Hitler ever bother to read the history books of what Napoleon did? You go all the way up there, there's nothing there, and all you can just turn around and come back. I mean, the thing is, to me, that was an incredibly stupid move on the chessboard, which obviously ended up paying for tremendously by doing that. But a lot of the wars that we've seen are really just bad moves on the chessboard. At least that's what I've seen. At the end of the day, it's bad for business, it's bad for countries, but for some reason, people are drawn into that. So the person, let's see, who wouldn't be too much in war is Malaysia, because I don't recall us ever going to war with Malaysia. But I think part of the reason why we don't go to war with Malaysia, and frankly, I don't think we've been to war with Russia either. But the reason we don't go to war with Russia, we don't know where you guys are at. And Malaysia, we can't even find you on the map. What is it with Malaysia? Do you guys do any wars over
the reason
there?
why people don't go on war with Malaysia is it's really so far. So in order to do the war, you have to get there. So you can take flight through Amsterdam, Singapore, and then Kuala Lumpur. So you will relocate all your troops through that route. It will be just bloody too expensive unless you get special.
Yeah. So why aren't you guys like America involved in wars all over the place? Why do you guys like Canada? You guys don't do anything, or what's the story over there?
Okay, actually in Malaysia, actually really beautiful tourist country, I want to say. Especially Professor Nick loved to go for golf club and this kind of thing. I think he's a very rich man. So most of the rich men in Malaysia said they are actually go to golf club, and it's not far from my house. Right. And my few of my professor previously said that if you want to be rich, go to the golf club. So I saw some pictures of Professor Nick. So okay. Oops. So okay. So yeah. So issue is that you can find a very good golf club. You can find very.
You're talking me into going to Malaysia now. Okay.
Yeah. The many interesting sea beach and infrastructure very good food. Even there are many like beautiful things. But actually, I want to say for a tourist country, I think definitely Malaysia is a very good destination. I think Sasha already.
No, this is sound really great. This is my cup of tea, man. You guys got golf clubs, you got beaches. Now, Sasha in Russia. I mean, this is one reason. Like, I'm totally not interested in ever invading your country.
One thing I want to.
Where's your beaches in Russia? You don't know beaches and no golf clubs. I mean, dude, where's your golf clubs?
Russian ballet.
Oh, you got ballet. Okay, yeah. Well, I got ballet and chess, right? But tell me about your beaches and your golf clubs. I kind of like that.
Sharif had one more thing he wanted to say.
Yeah, go on, Sharif.
No, I just want to say about Russian politics, because as I have a close relations with the politicians and the different countries, what I see, let's say in South Asia. In South Asia, you can find actually long time, we have Soviet Russia and USA, they have Cold War. And in that time, many political parties actually grow based on the philosophy of left political philosophy and other things. Even I want to say they are very strong. Why they are very strong? Even recent year, if you look the politician, those who engage with left politics and philosophically they are highly engaged with Russian politics and this kind of things. You find now they are doing the right politics, right-wing politics, and now even they are ministers. I know, let's say from Bangladesh, few of the left politicians, those who are highly engaged with Russian philosophy and other things. But even I know Rashid Khan Menon, he was the ministers of aviation industry. I know Hasanullah Inu, he was a Russian philosophy holders, and now even last time I saw he was a minister of communications and these things. So that is one of the things I find that those who actually strongly engage with this Russian ally and this kind of politics, intellectually they are very sharp. That is fact. Like example, if you saw the Sasha is intellectually very sharp. So if this kind of
all
people,
the Russians are sharp. I mean, the thing is, Russia has more engineers than any
I want
place
to
in the world.
recognize Mr.
Yeah.
Bill as well. Everybody here is very sharp, but I'm just trying to add these things. So when they engage with politics, they are very, very like smart to manage the politics. So when they see that this Russian ally and these things, they it's go down, so that time step by step they're making relation with the right ally. And not only that, even they are very small politician, but they are successful in politics. So that's why I want to say this kind of developing nations, even you see in India, you see in Bangladesh, you see even in other countries, you can find that those who are like 20 years before, 25 years before, they have strong like alignment with the Russia and this kind of things. Now they become very powerful and very powerful politicians, even they are minister even. So I think this is the interesting things you can find out about Russian culture and politics. They have very interesting impact in different part of the world.
Yes, and we've never been at war with Russia, to my knowledge, and we've never been at war with, there he is, India, because and I can't tell you why, but apparently they've always been good friends of the great United States of America. We're going to change our name. I'm going to have Ben have to call us the Great United States of America.
Well,
The United States of America. What? Who? Great Britain will sue us for trademark infringement?
Yeah.
Because we're calling ourselves the great,
Right. Yeah.
the Great United States of America. But
It's taken, Nick.
Where
it's
is
taken.
Ben these days? Where is Ben?
Where's Ben?
Yeah,
I don't know. He showed up. He showed up yesterday just briefly. But see, if you think about it, this is what I'm saying. All the problems really start from Great Britain.
Right.
Great Britain had problems with. They had problems with America. They had problems with Canada. They've had problems with India. I mean, the thing is, they tend to get a lot of they create a lot of issues where countries like Malaysia, I don't recall them fighting anybody. I don't know what they do over there except, hey, I like them because they hang out with beaches and go to golf clubs. Okay, so it's totally good.
I'm going to take the hot seat and defend Ben here because I know what he would say. Hey, we sent all our problems to America.
Or Australia.
For you. So, but we got to learn from each other's mistakes. And something that I am reminded every day is we are probably one of the youngest countries in the world. Okay. So we're making a lot of mistakes that they have made. And from what I see, they're doing really working well together during this COVID situation. I see other countries that are a lot older than us working together very well. And that's something that I wish we would do. I wish we would put aside our differences and work together through this. I think one of the reasons why, what?
We were in 2012 and right up till 2016, we were working with the rest of the world.
We worked together we worked together after 9/11. I don't know that we worked together very well after Bush. We started separating and dividing again. And unfortunately, maybe it's war that
Kimberly, that's not true. We had the Paris Accords. We had an international agreement over Iran to make them not become a nuclear power. Right. We were working with the rest of the world right up until 2016 when we stopped.
And Jim, the Pan Asian Pacific Economic Treaty walked away from, and just kind of
another one, right?
But we stopped building bridges. Okay, we instead we decided to build walls. And granted, there are issues with the surrounding countries, but you don't build walls because history teaches us those walls all come down in one way or another, or they quit being used for the intended purpose. A wall is nothing but a monument that somebody needs to put their name to. And quite honestly, it was a waste of money. We could have been spending that money on better pandemic teams, on better research, on better research for technology to help prevent the crimes that were coming across the borders. Technology can prevent a lot of these things. Drones can do a really good job in place of a wall, and we can put barriers up using technology. We don't need a wall
It's a medieval solution to a 21st century problem.
Well, that's what I kept saying. We have 18th century government, and they expect 20th century results. And, exactly, we can't continue on this road and expect the results that we expect from ourselves. And at the end of the day, I think that we are going to eventually, we're going to build a group of people that will build the bridges, right? We will establish this.
Well, we'll see.
But what the thing is we can't rely on our leaders to do it for us all the time. Okay.
Right.
And in our situation, when they said the government might shut down, I'm like, oh, big deal. They're not doing anything anyway. My thing is if you cut their salaries until COVID was over, they get off their butt and fix it.
That's right.
Because the minute you cut their salaries, well, I'll tell you what, I'll pay you when we have a solution to COVID. I promise you that solution would have been this pill that they're talking about 3 days later. Their thing is it's all about this.
Mm-hmm.
Our leaders, the way we've established, Nick's going to come back and beam me out.
No, it's dark money.
The way we've established our government, it's all about this now. It's not about what we can do together to unite. There's a few people, I think, that still exist that do that, but not enough. And I think that they become the social outcast, right? Because we establish what we call a social norm. This happened way back in the day of Jesus. They had a social norm established, and Jesus didn't fit their social norm. So what did they do? They just executed him out according to the Bible. So this happens in a lot of ways, right? Somebody comes up, people start listening to them, and they establish the ground rules for social norm. So I think that that's what happens in our government, right? It's the bully ring, as I call it, or the playground, the king of the playground. Yes, Sasha?
Okay. A little bit from history of Russia and perception of Russia and Russian people around the world. Number one, as we know, Russia always was totalitarian state. And the perception was that the Russians are wonderful people. If they would have just different leaders or different government, different system, it would be a fantastic country and everybody would be so great, so nice. But people are forgetting that each country, each people of each country deserve the government because it's up to them to either elect or with arms to throw away the government if it's so horrible and usurping power, and that's what they should do. And if they fail to do that, then they're just as guilty to have this horrible totalitarian or otherwise regime, and there is no escape from it. I think the same thing we are witnessing now in America. We have a horrible person in charge and a horrible party that just lie down under him. Republican Party, of course, I'm talking about. And people are tolerating that for last 4 years. Furthermore, it's a good chance that they will re-elect the same leader and the same political party for another 4 years. So then we are not talking about some kind of unhappy situation when the cards were just against or so on. People are responsible, and I think people are failing to take this responsibility upon themselves.
I agree, Sasha. And Bill, weren't they chanting at the RNC 12 more years?
Yes, they were. They were. And, that was actually really concerning because right now, given the past history, we really don't know what the Trump administration or, in fact, Trump is thinking from minute to minute. And that's what creates the uncertainty. For example, today, voting has started they mailed out the ballots, and voting is currently starting in North Carolina. And today, Trump accused North Carolina government officials of politicizing the COVID-19 crisis in an effort to hurt his reelection. It's absolutely astounding what happens minute by minute. It creates the uncertainty. But Jim, California, I mean, dealing with all of the fires and everything else, you must look at Washington in amazement.
I agree. And the California governor has okayed $900 a month for people that are suffering from the business failures. And, and Congress is dithering over whether they're going to send $300 a month. They were sending $600, which made a difference. Then that's canceled. Now we're facing evictions because you can't pay rent. So we are looking at like, hey, man, there's pain and suffering going on. What can we do about it? And because we're sending $900 a month to these people in California, there's going to be a tax hit. People that can afford it have to pay more taxes, and then we'll be ridiculed by people in Washington.
Okay.
So,
Ankit, I'd like to go to you, but before I do that, I just want to give a welcome shout out to Mark. Mark, welcome.
Mark.
We will get to you. Ankit, go right ahead. What were you thinking?
So, I mean, I wanted to mention about, first of all, I will go to Jim's comment about the government's aid about $900, but I am not a believer of sharing stimulus in the form of money, but it should be in the form of empowerment, where we do some kind of economic changes and help them to empower rather than giving them money. Because if you give someone money, the people won't work basically. So we need to make them understand that if you do this work, then you'll get reward and stuff like that. I mean, because in India also it happens like, government give money to people who are under the bottom line, and then government also give a lot of loans to people who are above the power. So middle class is always stuck in between. And you need to empower somewhere, I mean, down the line. It's not just about money, that if you give me $100, I won't work. It's like that. So I'm not a firm believer of just giving money right away. And secondly, we are talking about Startup Wednesday, and then when we talk about politics, or if some government, comes in the power maybe after a break or maybe continuously, they should work like startups. Because
we are talking about a pandemic, Ankit. You're talking about in general, but we're talking about a response to the pandemic. And these people are starving. You've got to give them money to feed themselves.
Well, no,
this is a special case.
Actually, what I hear from the at least for the discussion is that there's an agreement that we need to meet the need. It's just a question of how we meet the need, and should there be a reciprocal obligation by the recipient. And yes, we're going to go to Kimberly, and then Mark, I'd like to hear your view. But Kimberly, you have.
I want to address that. Why aren't we doing what Ben's country's doing, and that's give the people vouchers to eat with, so that that they're not taking that money and going and partying with it, or doing drugs or any other addictive problem, but they're taking that money and they're putting it to good use. So instead of money, give them vouchers. Again, I just saw like a week or two ago where they were giving parents in North Carolina $350 or something goofy like that each, just parents of children going to school. And I'm like, why are we giving them money like that? Why not give them a voucher if they need computers, or give them the tools and resources they need? But why are we giving the money away like that? They need resources and tools. They need food. You give them vouchers for restaurants. Those vouchers can be used at any restaurant you want, and the restaurants have to accept them.
I agree.
Okay, we got to go.
Great idea.
No, Mark, I don't make it, I promise. But I've been promising Mark. I'm sorry. Mark, can you make sense of, these thoughts? We need the money. Should there be obligations? Should we give it out free? What are you thinking?
I actually think we do need the money. There's no doubt about that. We definitely need some kind of stimulus money. So I would agree with that. But the one thing that I've always thought is that we need something similar to what was going on during the Great Depression. And folks say we're in a recession. I actually think that we're closer to a depression in what's going on right now. And what I think we need is some sort of job creation program. I mean, we're changing in terms of and I know Kim always talks about this, that this is like the 18th century solutions to 21st century problems. And I agree with her on that we need to have some kind of way to get people trained in jobs that are more 21st century. And some of those can even be old job, because even if you think of like auto mechanics, or you think about some of the jobs that used to be more vocational in nature, they have actually become more into the modern time as well. So they are actually using computers and things of that nature. And a lot of folks aren't trained in those jobs, and a lot of folks are now losing their jobs in that sense. I've actually got two friends that just recently lost their jobs. One is laid off from a call center job and is now sitting there trying to find work. And she actually just moved here recently, moved here to North Carolina from Brazil. So she's contemplating whether she's going to move back or whether she's going to try to find some work, be that in the restaurant field or be that in another field. And then I just had another friend that just lost their call center job. It's effective on, I believe, the 25th or something like that, that they'll be losing their job. And they just got the notice yesterday. So like I said, we're having folks that are being, as Jim just talked about, laid off and being also facing evictions and a number of other things. So I think that we've got a lot of greater problems that are going on, and we've got to find real world solutions to what's happening. So that's my thoughts on it.
Okay. Now we're going to go to Ankit. And then I'd like to hear from Sharif on the economic impact of these kind of financial stipends. And then we'll go to Jim. So Ankit.
So, I mean, what I was saying when Jim interrupted in between is that we have to work like startup politics, basically, because startups work in a very concise budget, and then they have bigger plans and vision, and that's what they do, basically. So with low budget, they are trying to work with $1, they are trying to work with $5. That's the agenda, and the government is not working on it because they can print the money and they can distribute it. And when Jim said the people need money, your government have printed $3 trillion. And I don't see a difference in that. I mean, people are still at the road and people still are jobless. There is no food and all those stuff. So I don't know what happened to the $3 trillion. So if the money is solving a problem, I don't see a problem.
That's a separate issue. That's a separate issue.
Whatever it is, I mean, you mentioned about money, so that's what I'm giving you a reason. In India,
where'd the money go?
So
you want to talk about that? That's a separate issue.
Okay.
You need to understand that money doesn't solve problems. We need to come plans and a lot of scheduling things in India. So Jim, I'll tell you something, Bill. In India, we have a lot of big community kitchens, and we feed more than 100,000 people every day in that kitchen free of cost. And the process, how it works is that people donate money, food, time, and labor, and then we create food, and then we distribute the food throughout the countries and cities and states. And then we have community kitchens across India. You can talk to Sharif knows about it, and that means food is not a problem. To serve food is never a problem. The problem is how to empower people so that they won't come in the same situation again and again. Because this is the pandemic which is happening now. But what about future? We have to empower people so that they have that strength to work it out and fight it out. Which is with money, it's not happening.
Okay. Well, Sharif.
I don't agree.
No,
Go ahead.
Sharif.
That's fine. Jim, we have to agree that we don't disagree, but that's
It's
fine.
Sharif's
Because
turn.
your perception, that is my perception. You are from California. You have
It's
some
Sharif's
different.
turn, Ankit.
I'm from a developing country, and there's different views, and we are talking about generally. So you have to accept views for all the people. It's not about you basically. We are talking on IBMTV as a worldwide show. So you have to watch. You have to look at me and talk about me basically. It's not looking here and there and then just giving your views like that basically.
Okay.
I don't need a lecture, Ankit. I do not need a lecture.
Then if you don't
It's
accept
Sharif's
it,
turn.
then you have to stay
Time
calm.
out, Ankit.
Time out, folks. Time out, folks.
Gentlemen,
Hold on.
let's go.
I think that Bill wanted to get to Sharif, so I understand that both of y'all are trying to get your viewpoints, but let's hear from Sharif.
No, I'm trying to get Sharif's viewpoint.
Sharif, I just want to ask.
Okay. I understand. I understand. Basically, there are different opinions from the two different countries. Let's say Jim come from the California. This is very true. How he discussing, this is very important. On the other hand, Ankit actually how he come up with the argument. This is also important. I know what he is trying to say because I also try to learn from the very root level people. But example, practically we think what happened. I want to say, let's say we know about microfinance, right? You go to even Bangladesh, you go to India, even you go to Malaysia, even you go to even USA. You said that microfinance has some impact for economical development. Even in Malaysian developments, microfinance has very good impact. In many countries, it has very impact. So what does it mean? It's mean like it's not money based on the purpose, because I can remember 12 years before I do root level research, I go to the village area, I discuss with the peoples. I say, what you are doing this microfinance, what you are doing is a small amount of money. They said that, okay, I buy 2 cow. So then step by step I grow this farm, and now this is very valuable for me. And I saw many peoples actually change their life with this microfinance, even in India, even in Bangladesh, even in Malaysia, and I know it has impact even in USA. So I want to say actually what Kimberly said, this is very important. Always money is not solution. Even in my personal life, let's say I am running United Trust, so we are trying to combine something, what actually Kimberly said, that okay, we give them like let's say in 2013 I arranged a Asia Debate Academy. So that time I do not get any money from the sponsor, but I said that I have thousands of people, you need to give us food. I have and all of the necessary support we need. Even we have our faculty from around the world, from USA to Europe and everywhere. You give them air ticket, you give them accommodation, you give them all of the necessary support. I do not need money, but I want to fulfill my purpose. So this is my plan, that this 1 month I want to do this kind of activities. So organization, they response on me, they said, okay, I'm not looking for money, I'm looking for kind and goods, and which is relevant for this program. And that was a very successful programs. And I can say now many of my students, they are doing job in around the world, many of my students from that point of view. So I know that government actually how they are working, they have a lot of political pressure, there are a lot of local demands and everything. But one point example, if we have very specific purpose, that this area I want to solve, I want to give them money, or I want to give them good or things, for what purpose? If purpose is cleared, and if we even most important thing is that you have to monitor. I understand why Ankit said that if you give them money they are lazy. Yes, it's an Indian culture, I know. On the other hand, like Mr. Jim, what he said about the from the American perspective, this is also very important. So humankinds and everything. So if we can monitor the community, those who are getting money or getting, according to Madam Kimberly, according to her, if he get any he or she get any kind of things which is relevant for developing his economy, maybe he get a cow from government, maybe he get from a land for doing agricultural things, or if he get a small shop for doing things, or if he get a, in India, Bangladesh, we have rickshaw. If we get a rickshaw for doing this kind of things, if we can do proper monitoring, and if we can do, then the economical aspect and situation may change. And it's really economy is very interesting things. Maybe what is important for example California, maybe Malaysia, it's a different. What is different important in Malaysia, maybe Indonesia, it's a different. So it's very interesting thing. But everywhere, if we have proper policy, if we have intention that we will do some good work for people, and we need monitoring, if we have proper monitoring, I think it will be very successful model. That is my observation.
Okay. That's excellent. I just want to take a moment while we all take a deep breath and collect our thoughts. I just want to go around and make sure that we introduce everybody for our new viewers. So to my left there, that guy. It's that guy. We have Jim Eads, who is head of the Eads Foundation from California, more specifically San Francisco, with appendages down in Silicon Valley and essentially all over the world. Next to Jim, we have Kimberly Calhoun, the senior executive producer of IBMTV, a personal friend to all of us, and a bright light on our stage whenever she decides to join us. Below Kimberly, we have Sasha, one of our resident intellects. He currently is in Toronto, but he hails from Russia. And so he often contributes on both Russian history influence as well as what's going on in Toronto. He's also the host of Assessments with Sasha. So next to Sasha, we have, well, we're going to go to Mark. And Mark is the voice of radio. His velvety tones are just impressive. As a former radio guy, I just have to give kudos when I give kudos. So, Mark, can we just get a quick hello so the audience can hear before I go to Ankit?
Oh yeah, we can definitely do that. We can definitely give a quick hello and say hello to all the folks out there. Glad to have this global audience. It is a true global audience, and I think that Kim and Ankit have just done a wonderful job with creating this network, and I'm proud to be a part of this network.
Now you see why he's a star and he's part of our team. And we now have Ankit, who is coming from India. He is an anchor on this team. He's running the operation out there. Sometimes he's with us, sometimes he's putting out fires. I don't know how he completes everything with his family and the job responsibilities, but at the end of the day, we all look good. And so for that, Ankit, I thank you. So welcome, everyone. And we have been talking about how the government ought to respond to this pandemic crisis on an economic level. There have been various thoughts on that. But what I'd like to do is I'd like to go around the horn and start with Jim, and then Mark, and then Kimberly. So Jim?
Thank you, Bill. Good job. I have to say that I'm a little bit tired of being portrayed as this guy from California. You know, I grew up on the East Coast, and I don't speak for California. And I've traveled around the world, not everywhere around the world, of course, and I've studied history of many, many countries. And I don't take shots at Ankit for being in perspective from New Delhi and New Delhi only. So I'm starting to resent the idea that I only know about California, because I know a lot about the world. And what I am saying about this particular issue is that we have a crisis and that we have to deal with it. And there are ways of dealing with it. And one of them in California, the governor has provided money. And I've heard a couple of times money doesn't solve anything. And there are people that are going to take the money and put it into their arms or drink it away. And there's a certain percentage of people who will do that. And I've heard that, you know, empower them, give them the startup energy. Well, it's a numbers game. There's a certain amount of people that will abuse the money you give them. There's a certain amount of people that will take it and be empowered and spend it as a startup. And then there's a majority of people who will do neither. These are the people we need to help. So the startup people will take care of themselves, the guys that are already empowered. And giving them money won't make them empowered. You know, so this is a problem. I love the idea of giving restaurant coupons. I think the UK is right on with that. Give them coupons to buy computers. I think that's a great idea. So there are ways of solving this problem. But let's not point fingers and say, hey, you only look at it from your perspective, because it's the world that we're talking about. It's a global perspective that we need. And this is a global pandemic. And we have to put our heads together and solve it. And whether it's feeding people, but whether it's setting up donations for people, food lines and stuff like that, we're doing that in the United States, but the government is not supporting that. It's all about the communities that are doing that. So there is some of that going on, and there needs to be more of it because we have to feed people. But that's not what our government cares about. Our government cares about making the giant corporations bigger. So we got to get our heads together and vote in November.
Okay. Now, Kim.
Oh, what a beautiful morning it is, even though it's raining outside. And thank God we don't have a weatherman.
Well, Kim, you know what that rain is? It's liquid sunshine.
Well, it's why the plants grow and why it's just overwhelming in abundance of growth here. That's one of the things I've noticed since the pandemic. Mother Nature has taken care of herself and started healing. And so this is very important. When you talk about world peace, are we talking about humans or are we talking about the world? And that is something that Scarlett would bring up to us. And Jim, we don't want you to be insulted when we ask you about California or anyone insulted about whatever place they're from.
That's not what I'm offended by.
Right. But what we see is that people live in a certain area and in COVID, that's probably, we feel like the perspective that we're kind of looking for so that we can unite and grow together. Right. Because I don't know what it's like in California to go outside and breathe the smoke. One day I thought Jim's room was filling with smoke and it just happened to be his camera.
Dirty camera.
So I have no idea. I have friends who are firemen out there, and it concerns me because I've seen the fires get as close to next door to my friend's house. I have friends. So these are good perspectives to share from all over the world, and we need We need to do that. We need to calm the world. I was discussing this with my dear friend over there, Bill, the other day. We need kind of like a hush, right? We need to find that peace again because we're divided. And that division is something that a lot of people like, because when you keep people divided, you can do other things. You can distract them and do other things that aren't really in the best interest of the people. So these are things that we need to take upon ourselves and unite on causes. I don't think we need to be uniting on parties. We've had the same parties for hundreds of years. We've had the same people for decades. I think we need to dissolve all of that and become united on solutions, right? Because when you're in a company, you work and whiteboard a solution out. Whether you agree or disagree, eventually you make a decision and you move that way. And as a team, you keep resolving and building it. And that's some of the things I love about IBMTV. We've seen doctors do it on our show. And we, oh, I didn't know that you were using that. How did you like that? And then another doctor saying, I've been trying this, and another doctor going, wow, that's cool. So sharing ideas, whiteboarding, from all over the world, different perspectives, different skill sets, because one skill set and one knowledge, and we're all like-minded, we're not going to solve problems. So we need to, again, go out and vote, because that is your only free voice you have. We need to change our country's demographics greatly, because we're seeing other countries succeed. And again, we're the youngest country in the world. In my mind, I mean, I'm sure there are other smaller ones, but we're still very young, considering when we moved over here, took over, and we've not done some right things. Okay. We've made a lot of mistakes that I don't even think are human, and we need to fix them. And we need to accept the issues and move on. But our voices need to calm down. We need to focus on the problems, and we need to solve them. It's okay to be angry. I get angry every day. Jimmy Valvano said that if you've lived a full day, it's if you've been angry, cried, and laughed. And if you've done those three things, you've lived a full day. And you know, Jimmy Valvano is one of my those hero mentors, right? But he said we have to have these emotions, but you need to calm it down and you need to focus it, because that's when I have won most of my battles, is when I've been the angriest. But then when I just sit there and go, wait a minute, calm down. There's always three sides to every story. Bill, you know this, right? Yeah. There are always three sides to every story. Theirs, and what's in the middle.
Right.
And we need to listen to both sides. This is why I say, listen to the opposition that you have. Pull them near and listen to their problems. And eventually you're going to go, hey, I have that problem too. A lot of people don't know that our Medicare and Medicaid's been overhauled, right? We're all going to have to buy insurance real soon. How many people can afford to go out and buy new insurance next year?
Right.
Okay.
Right.
So all of this is going to impact you, but have you saved up enough money to be able to go, or put yourself in a position where you can buy new insurance? Have you priced it? You know, one of the things that hit us the hardest was when a layoff hit us, and a year later, COVID takes place and we can't get another job, and COBRA sets in. So we went from $200 a person in our household for insurance per month to $2,000.
Wow.
Okay. Wow. And it didn't cover everything, you know, it's supposed to cover the same things, but it didn't. Right. So these are things that we need to do as a country. Don't let it slap you in the face next year. Be on top of these things, right? Get out there and learn. Don't be angry and pissed and moping around. I want people to calm down. We have issues. Let's talk about them and let's solve them. But we're not solving them by being angry. And Bill and I, lately, we're seeing a trend happen that's getting out of hand. Okay. And I almost feel like, you know, what, did we give everybody a stupid pill lately? You know, and Bill was saying the same thing. You know, we're too old for this. Our country is, you know, I say we're the youngest, but we're supposed to be the smartest, yet we're the most prejudiced.
Right.
We're not doing the things we need to be doing, but as people, we're letting the leaders take over for us. And Mark couldn't have been more dead on with some of the things that he was saying, that we need to step up to the plate.
You're right.
This is what we're doing. And, you know, I'm going to get off my soapbox, but I want everyone to calm down. We're here for a purpose, and that's to unite, build the bridges, not the walls. And before you can do that, and I've had a lot of counseling on this, you have to get rid of that wall, Kim. Put a fence there so you can see through it. Okay. then eventually the fence, but you find the solutions. And I have this thing with the government. You don't trust them, but you got to listen to them and see where they're at. And then if you don't like what they're doing, we got to unite as a team and go address it. And the problem is that they become a ruler. They're not doing what's right for the people. They're doing what's right for them. And I think this is the pain that we're seeing. But one of the things I respect about other countries like India, they pull together so hard and unite so hard. And they told their people, if you stay home, don't worry, just help us get this under control. We're going to take care of you. And guess what? They have been. Mm-hmm. They have been taking care of India. Why are we not doing it here? You know what I've heard in the United States? Oh, well, you're a Republican state. Oh, well, you're a Democrat state. That's why you have the problem. Only Democrat states have the highest COVID and death rates. And I'm like, but we're under one administration right now. And it shouldn't matter what state we're in and whether they're Republican or Democrat. And now you're making me think, if I'm a Democrat state, is it and I have more deaths, is it because the Republicans have cut us off? So we don't need to pit like this. What we need to do is say, how do we fix it?
You're absolutely right. And and I'm glad you mentioned that, because you're right on point at this critical moment, just for our audience around the globe. Here in the United States, we have 55 days left until the presidential election. The amount of pressure that is about to be expended. Remember, both sides. Look, Trump has about 200 million. Then Biden's campaign has over $400 million in cash, and those ads are going to be designed to stir up divisions and motivate people to vote. Because, as one of our guests on a previous show said, that they appeal to our emotions when they vote and when they put these ads together. So, Kimberly, you were absolutely correct that now more than ever, we have to focus in on not being diverted, but rather being focused. Now, what I'd like to do is I'd like to go over to Mark, because Mark, I'd like you to share with the global community, Mark.
Yes.
The suggestions and ideas that you were talking to Kim about how we solve some of these issues, or an approach.
I mean, like I said, there's a couple of approaches that we can definitely take. Like I mentioned earlier, we can definitely try to find ways to create jobs. I often think about programs very similar to what went on with the Great Depression. So I think that we can definitely create programs like that. We can definitely get people involved in those kind of programs once again. So I definitely think that we can go back in history and find some of the solutions, but add more of a 21st century kind of model to it, so that we're actually dealing with stuff that is going on in this society. So that's one of the things that I was saying, is that we've got to find ways to actually get people into the job force, but actually find them working in jobs that are more 21st century based. Unfortunately, right now, we're training folks in a lot of jobs that are not 21st century based. And there are a number of those jobs that will be available as we get out of the pandemic. I mean, it's going to take a while, but I'm thinking that we can create those programs now, because I remember during the Great Depression, those jobs were created then. I mean, I wasn't born then, but I am a student of history. And what I've read is that they created those programs during that time and everything. And yes, there were some rough things that were going on, even in that era, when we did have that last Great Depression. And like I said before, as far as I'm concerned, we're in a Great Depression right now. So I do think that we can do a lot of things along that line, and even looking back in history. And yeah, there are going to be some elements of society that are going to come out of the woodwork that are negative elements. I mean, if you're talking about the criminal element and things of that nature, I do expect that we'll see a spike in some of that in some communities, just because it's a very hard time and folks are trying to basically survive. And we do know that survival sometimes leads us to our most base instincts. I hate to say that, but that's just a fact of life. So we just have to be prepared for that and be aware that that may be one of the things that happens and everything. And no folks were talking about the restaurants and the fact of how good the restaurants have been doing in other countries and things of that nature, and around the world, and also here. But I do want to make a point about that. And we've got some restaurants here in Durham, North Carolina, that have been doing some programs and trying to help folks in their neighborhood. I mean, there's one called Visions of New Africa that is doing a lot of great work in terms of feeding people. I think it's every Friday. It might even be more than days of the week than that. And then there's a couple of other restaurants that are doing that on a regular basis. They're folks trying to provide food to the school kids and things of that nature. But at the same time, we also have to be very concerned about the health of our restaurants, because it's been reported right now that close to 20% of the restaurants across the U.S. could permanently close because of the coronavirus pandemic. And that was released earlier today, and that was a Wednesday UBS note. If 1 in 5 of the more than 1 million restaurants close, that could result in 200,000 locations permanently shuttering. So we're talking about a very massive thing that could happen in the restaurant business. As many as 85% of the independent restaurants may permanently close because of the pandemic by the end of this year. And that was according to a report commissioned by the Independent Restaurant Coalition. So the restaurants are very much concerned about what is going on here in the world and things of that nature, just in terms of their own survival. So definitely we need to be very much concerned about ways that we can help these restaurants and things of that nature. And even coming back to one of the points that Jim was making, I do think that sometimes we give too much money to the big corporations and things of that nature. I would even argue that in the food business, that we're giving too much money to those big corporations, and we need to find ways to help the small restaurants, the small farmers, and folks along that line. So we actually need to work on trying to help these folks as they are going through some very difficult times and things along that line. I do want to turn just really quickly over to Ankit, because I have a quick question for him. We are oftentimes here in the U.S. talking about the divisions that exist here in the world, be that divisions between Democrats and Republicans, black and white, things of that nature. We are a global community here on IBM.TV. And it's my understanding that these divisions are not only here in America, but they are actually worldwide divisions, because I know that there are things between India and Pakistan, between India and other parts of the world. So I don't want folks to get it twisted that it's only a United States problem when we talk about divisions, because I do think that there are divisions that exist in your country as well. And I'd love for you to share a little bit about that as well, because I think we do need to bond, but there are divisions that exist there also.
So, I mean, divisions are always a part of the society, and we are talking about a country as United States, but India is also a country, and Pakistan is a separate country. So that's the border dispute between two countries, where, I mean, there's a lot of things going around. So this is not a good platform to discuss about that. But generally, I mean, when we talk about a democratic country, I mean, everyone has the right to vote, everyone has the right to choose the government, and everyone has the right to speech and right to talk and right to share information. And that every government has that right. But we have a federal structure where the prime minister heads the country, and then we have different chief ministers who head their own states, and then they talk about it. I mean, if they don't agree, still they talk on the same platform and try to work for society and for people, and that's what Indian culture is all about. When we talk about India, we all are united. When we talk about certain states, then we have some dispute, but we try to figure that out. That's what from India. But I just wanted to mention one thing to all the viewers, that when we talk about India, that means we are talking about 70% of the world population. So that's a big number, and then that's what it is. I mean, when you talk about the world as well, it's not about countries, it's about people of the world, basically. So you need to understand that there are a lot of people who live outside United States as well, and they have a certain way to live, and they're also living since a while, and they have a lifestyle, they have a way to earn and all those stuff, and then we need to respect that. Because if you just talk about one particular continent and they just forget what's happening on the other side of the world, that's the problem. That is the problem we have right now, because we don't want to listen to what's happening around the world, and we are just happy for whatever we are doing, and we are, I mean, appreciating our own thoughts, and also, I mean, disrespecting our I mean, president chair, and then just talking about a lot of stuff. Because in India, if the prime minister is not doing something, we have the right to ask questions, but we still respect the chair, because the chair, we have voted for the chair. So 33% of the Indians or some Americans have voted for your president, and that's why the president is, I mean, sitting on the chair. So we need to respect the voting system, and then we make sure that we can change the voting system in the next vote if you are not happy with that. But that's what I wanted to say from India.
Okay. That is, thank you, because that is an excellent point. We are talking to a global community, although we do have a significant domestic viewership here. And obviously, we want to make sure that we expand their horizons, because we here at IBMTV are committed to smarter television for a smarter global community. And part of it, I think, is the outreach and getting the different points of view. What I'd like to do now is go to our resident Yankees fan, Jim Eade of the Eads Foundation. Yes, by all means. So, given what Mark said, Mark is essentially calling for what FDR did, which would be a government-sponsored Black Works Program Administration. Now, would you agree with that? And because maybe that's the solution, given the different ideas that you and Ankit are having. Ankit believes that we need to, deliver or get money to individuals. Think that they should work for it. You believe we need to get money to individuals as a matter of, basic humanity. Mark is suggesting that we have a major infrastructure type of program. Jim, what do you think?
Well, I agree with that completely. And I would point out that now President Trump met with the union leaders and promised infrastructure jobs. And it's like many of the promises, if you look back at all the promises he made, and you can count on your one hand how many have been kept. This was promise that was made that was not kept. And infrastructure is the solution, because infrastructure jobs will employ people. They will have money. They will be working for their money. And the bridges that are collapsing around us, the roads that can't be traversed now because they are impassable, can be repaired. Now, this is happening in London as well. There are three bridges that have been closed to car traffic and one that has been closed to pedestrian traffic. So these bridges are crumbling. And this is happening around the United States as well. So this infrastructure problem can be solved by people, by putting people to work in jobs that they can do already. They don't need training to do them, or the training can be very minimal. And if you put these people to work building jobs or building infrastructure, these jobs will be productive jobs. The country will be better for it. The people will be paid. They will be able to spend the money at restaurants. That restaurants can stay open. Restaurants can employ staff, people that give you the menu. They will have a job. So this is one of the solutions that we have to do. Now, in the short term, we have to do more than just that, because there are people that are having pain and suffering right now that we have to alleviate. But in the long term, this infrastructure jobs orientation, it should be our number one priority. Thank you.
Okay. Now, Sharif, I see that you are back with us. Now, what would be, the economic impact of a major stimulus project like a massive infrastructure program? Would that be beneficial to any economy, let alone the United States economy? Well, how do you think about that?
No, actually, this infrastructure, let's say Malaysia, we have affordable housing project. And the last Mahathir Mohamad government, he actually give a strong emphasis on affordable housing project. So this has a very good economic impact. Let's say, example, government gives them loan, and they give them subsidy and support, and they build up affordable house for the people. And by this way, like example, actually, let's say a country like Malaysia, they're getting a very good benefit and support from their country. And definitely, I want to say it has a very, very positive impact. And what I see, even example, even in Bangladesh, if you want to say, because I know one of the Jil Mill project. So Jil Mill project actually initiative from Malaysia. This is one of the big investment in Bangladesh. I think more than $1 billion investment. So I work with this professor, those who doing these things. So I find that when this kind of affordable housing and this initiative actually taking governments and taking different kind of investors with the collaboration of government based on their collateral and other things, this is actually give the proper safety and security. And this is successful history. I do not want to say that this is not a. On the other hand, we do lot of very, very exclusive project, smart city project, this project, that project. But many of the smart city project is not successful in Asia Pacific. And one of the biggest project now is stop. But affordable housing, because when people like small people and like middle income peoples, even low income people, they get this kind of support, they get the basic security. When they get the basic security, on the other hand, their regular incomes and other things they can continue, then it's create a very good sustainable economical impact for their country. So Malaysia is a good example. Is that I want to say Malaysia is not too much of big, but too much of small country. But whatever they are doing something sustainable, which is relevant for the economy. So a country like example, small economy like Bangladesh, even Pakistan example, India is a big economy, even Vietnam, okay, even this kind of country, they can follow this kind of strategy, and which is helpful. So I have strongly believed, that is my fighting, that is my philosophy, and that's why always I try to negotiate with the government, because I want that much people has lot of right. Even example, every developing economy you can find there are a lot of corruptions. That is the reality. Even startup people using $5 billion, politician using that, but it's not impactful. But on the other hand, if we support people with a proper way, proper policy and proper monitoring, it has very good economic impact. I already Malaysia taking initiative. I hope it will be very successful initiative as well. Even as per my knowledge, Bangladesh also has this kind of Jil Mill project, and it's a very successful initiative they are taking. Yeah.
Okay. I had a question that I just wanted to drill down because I think it's really, really important, and it's based on something you mentioned earlier, Ankit. You said that the Indian nation, it represents what percentage of the world population?
17.7%.
17%. Wow. I mean, it seems to me that India should be a major player, because if you come to the table with 17% of the world population, there's a real opportunity to make change. After all, just as we all know, it's 1.3 billion, and America is only about 330 million Americans. So we are the decimal point 3 in India.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you have a state, I believe, of 400 million in India, don't you?
What he said?
Do you have? What is your largest state in India?
Largest state is Uttar Pradesh, which is more than 200 million people.
More than 400?
200.
Oh, 200. Well, see, there you go. Now, given those odds, now let me just switch here for a second, Jim. If you were head of a country that represented 17% of the world's population, what do you think you'd do? Jim?
I'm sorry, you were talking to me? I thought you said Kim.
Oh, okay. Well, then,
repeat the question, please.
Okay, well then, we'll do it for both. Jim and Kimberly. If you represented a country that held 17% of the world's population, how would you go about leading the world? Because you're coming to the table with almost 20% of the people on the planet. I'm just interested in ideas, because clearly America hasn't stepped up to its leadership role in the last 4 years, but I'm listening. What would you guys do?
Well, I would infiltrate the international organizations like the UN, the World Health Organization, and I would take any chance that I had, I would be at the table when any international discussion was taking place. And I would not just have a seat at the table, I would have one of the front seats. And, I would be calling attention to myself, and I would be banging on the table if I had to get attention to my 17%. I'm sorry, you guys over there with your 0.3% of my population. I'm talking now, and I would make my voice heard.
Okay, Kimberly.
I think I would take a more humble approach, and I would develop my country into becoming one of the largest resources in something, and I would control that resource very well and monetize on it, not just for my country, but for the whole world. And then I would scale to the next resource. But that's very important, is to become a resource provider, not just for yourself, but for the whole world. And of course, Ben would know this, coming from the UK, and I'm sure he would support me on that. Oh, Ben, he's there.
No, he is there.
Ben.
Oh, Ben, but
we are not worthy.
And we have Nick. So let me just take a quick moment. And first, Nick, you're back. We've missed you. I want you to know I have intentionally been
axe work.
Okay, well, I've intentionally been channeling the panel to beat up on the United States, hoping.
Excuse me. Wait. I think
That's why we missed you.
I heard this conversation that more people get bigger votes than people that have more money, and that's totally wrong, as we well know, in corporate America. So, Ann, you can have all the people you want. We are the world's largest economy. We have all the money. The do-re-mi, baby, and that's how American capitalism throughout the world works today. It isn't how many people you have; it's how much money you have, and we have.
We're losing to China, Nick.
What?
Yeah, but we.
Okay. Don't listen to that man behind the curtain. Okay, the thing is,
we've already lost. We're number 2.
Listen, China is big. There's no question about it. They are the elephant dragon in the room. However, per capita, we would still have more money than any of the people in China. So, this whole idea of this democracy, okay, just forget about that. We learned a long time ago from my friends in Great Britain that democracy doesn't really count. Who has the biggest warships count. As they went around, they took over the United States, they took over India. They know the real rule of the world. Might makes right, not the amount of people that you have. So if you want to live in La La Land, go ahead. Feel utopian, feel good about yourself. Oh, look, we're democracy. Oh, look, we're all equal. We're not all equal, and we're not a democracy. We're in a kleptocracy. And so the thing is,
it's the money. Declaration of Independence.
Okay.
How many votes you have in corporate America depends on how much money you have.
I know, but Nick, we've got to go to Ben, because Ben, we've missed you.
And, we did. We were talking about you earlier today.
Yeah,
because we know where all the problems really got started. So
got my tea.
Okay, so Ben,
I got my basin of water.
Good afternoon.
Ben, welcome to the scrum. You have the ball.
Good afternoon, Bill. How are you, sir? Yeah, the reason why I'm late today is we've just had a major press conference from our Prime Minister. We have gone back into a partial lockdown. There's a big problem with social gatherings. The illegal raves have come back, which I thought left in the 90s when I was obviously only really, really young. But unfortunately, we've now gone to what's called the rule of 6. You're now no longer allowed to gather indoor or outdoor more than 6 people. And so it's mainly due to, we were still allowed to go to work, but we were due to have conferences again in October, but that's now being reviewed. So there's a lot going on. It's coming through as I'm talking. So if I do come up with more information, that's the reason why. But we're trying to, what we're trying to do is trying to kill the socialization part of the recovery, but keep the economy going. Now, the difficulty is, of course, is that socialization happens in pubs and restaurants, and that is part of the economy, and it's a major part of the economy.
Yeah.
So, unfortunately, at the moment, as I say, it has now the rule of 6, and it is in law. It's going in law from Monday, and there's going to be fines, etc. So, we've already spoke to the kids and said you can't walk home with your friends anymore. Because we usually, me and my wife, we usually walk down together because it gets us exercise in to pick the kids up. So that's 4 of us. So if there's any more than a parent and a child want to walk home with us, that can't happen. That is now with £1,000 fine from Monday. So things are changing dramatically. And of course, we don't know if it's right or not. We don't know if this is the correct course of action until a few months down the line, because the coronavirus, as we are starting to see a small increase. If we keep it down to a small increase, then these measures are working. And of course, Jim's got his mask on. And of course, the only way, I personally think that the only way to know if we're successful in this battle is if we're alive. That's the key to it. If there's less deaths than need to be. So go on, Bill.
No, Ben, I wanted to ask another very important question, because the reports that we have over here are that the negotiations over the Brexit have hit a snag, and that the UK is threatening to break the prior international agreement and just walk away without a deal. Can you tell us any more about that?
What you've said, Bill, is spot on. We are willing to break international law and override the withdrawal agreement, which obviously is law. So everything you've said is spot on. We're willing to break it. Last night we had one of the legal advisors to the government quit the government, We've had John Major, the ex-Prime Minister, come out today and talk and speak against it. And the problem we've got now is this news conference that's ongoing. Just to come out of that and to ourselves, the journalists were asking questions about the Brexit negotiations and the Brexit deal when the Prime Minister is trying to talk about the coronavirus. The problem we got now again is it's mixed messages, and things like that. So I personally think the best thing to do with everything that's going on is to say, look, with the EU, we're going to sit through the withdrawal agreement for another year. Nobody expected this year. When we did the withdrawal agreement, nobody could foresee what was going to happen. So let's put another year in, and then let's sit down again in a year and say, right, where are we in negotiations? The problem now is we're rushing. We're rushing through a major treaty, which is our future and your future, to be fair, because you don't know if you deal with us through the EU or through us direct. So the best thing to do is to have a year's breathing and say nobody expected coronavirus. Give it a year and let's see where we are. But the problem is now with stubbornness is saying no, we're not going to do that. We're still going to leave the EU at the end of the year. But you've got half the government concentrate on coronavirus and half on Brexit of the negotiators, and it's all up in the air now, Bill. So yeah,
I got an answer.
Okay, well, Ankit, ladies first, Kimberly, and then we go to Ankit.
So I'm gonna go back to this. We're gonna have to change our attire, and this way we can move back.
I'm all over this. I like it.
I'm gonna take Darth Vader, but this way we can, they
I'll be a stormtrooper.
Science fiction wrote our. I'm just saying, science fiction wrote our dress code, and it probably had to do with respiratory because we heard Darth Vader breathing. So I'm just going to break it right now that we're going to have to change our dress code so that we can get back out into the public. And, you just walk through a car wash when you go home, and it washes all the COVID off of you. And you go in and you hang your suit up every day when you go home. And that's my vote. I don't know about you guys.
This might be the perfect solution.
It's a wonderful idea. I know we're getting ready to toss it to Ankit, but I was just going to add that, we talked about that velvety voice that I've got and everything. Well, Darth Vader had a velvety voice too, so it also fits in with the whole idea. So I'm going with that.
If you and Darth, sorry, Bill, sorry, Mark, if you and Darth Vader have been seen in the same room, all I'm asking.
I'm telling you, wouldn't know the difference.
Yeah.
With that, Ankit, and then we are going to go to Nick, and Nick will, because we're about that hour. So Ankit, your thought.
So Ben, there's a news going about Oxford that they have stopped the vaccine because of some illness found or reported by one of the volunteers. So, what's the story about that vaccine trial?
Yeah. There has been adverse effects on the people that have tested the vaccine. Has been seen, so it has been halted. But that's the Oxford University one. There is obviously other trials going on, but the Oxford University, which at the end of the day is a British establishment. Everyone knows Oxford University, and that is the one that you would trust the most. Right. They've had to stop it, so now we're down to. But we do have. It's just been revealed there is 8 tests that's in stage 3, so there is positivity. And who didn't expect this? If we're all honest with ourselves, some of the vaccine tests weren't going to be perfect, and there was going to be issues. So we are at the stage where there has been adverse effects. So hopefully it's not going to cost. Hopefully it's not going to cost people lives, but
let's rush the vaccines like we're rushing Brexit.
Right.
Yeah, we can't rush these things and everything. But I did have a quick question for Bill, just real quickly. He said £1,000 was the fine, and for those of our viewers that are watching that don't know pounds versus dollars, can you put that in dollar context? Because like I said, I'm trying to do the math, and I don't always know my ways of translating the money. So what is £1,000 in our dollars?
Ben or Nick?
Well, the internet knows all. You can do the conversion. It's over 1,000 US, because the last time I looked, the pound trades more than $1. But I did want to. I wanted to beam on a little bit what our friends in Great Britain just said. First of all, if you listen very carefully, he said that we're going to violate international law. And I quickly looked it up, and then I saw that, well, Great Britain has a history of violating international law, so I have a problem with that. So I was going, what's the big deal about that? He mentioned it anyway, just to let the panel know they're about to violate international law. Oh, what's new? The other thing that he mentioned, which I think was very important, was he goes, well, the clinical trials failed at Oxford. That doesn't surprise me. Great Britain always in times of crisis fails and has to have the United States bail them out. We've been doing that for centuries, ever since we departed them. So when he said that they failed their clinical trials, didn't surprise me a bit. We have no problem, Ben. We will bail you out once again, which we did in World War I, World War II, and frankly, every other thing that you guys did over in that foggy little island. So with that, that's my report on Great Britain. But I'm grateful to have Ben here.
Bill, bring us back.
Then we
bring
can do
us
that.
back, Bill. Bring it back, Bill.
Okay.
I don't think we bailed them out.
It's always good to have Ben
when
here.
they fought the Falklands.
Okay, well, what I do know is that this has been a very, very interesting, exciting, and illuminating conversation. One thing that I really appreciate about IBM TV and all of you is the passion with which we bring so many different points of view. Now, Mark, with regard to the conversion rate of the money, we need not go to the internet because we have Sasha's investment show, which is coming up at 1 o'clock here on IBM.
$1,300.
There you go. And Jim is always available. It's $1,500.
1,000 pounds is $1,300.
Okay. Well, so what you do with that money will be guided by what Sasha will be able to advise you on the next show. But I do want to wrap all of this up by saying, Mark, thank you from North Carolina.
Yes.
And from 1.3 billion in India. Jim from both coasts and the World Traveler, thank you. Sharif for staying up in Malaysia. And Big Ben, do you know, I've been trying to get you back because I thought maybe it was something I said. So I've been including the UK and Britain in my morning reports. Hope to see your reaction. But I know we'll see you again because we really need your help.
No, you will. The problem is now is that I can't get on till 11 o'clock EST because the kids are back at school, so the school run has to happen now. And with everything that's going on, obviously the wife needs my support because when we do the school run, we are masked up. But the problem is, of course, is that when even though we're taking precautions and what I think are sensible precautions, you're still dealing with people. And the problems that have just had to be clamped down on again is because we put it in the hands of the people. People need guidance. When you're dealing with mass amounts of people, they need guidance. They need the lines drawing. And this is the problem: is that you need stern leadership, but also, of course, you in the States have got guidance, but it's that way. It's not. This is the way you should do it. So there's got to be somewhere in the middle, guys. We need to get out the message on IBM TV. For God's sake, think about other people. Put a mask on. Not protect yourself. If you don't care about yourself, that's up to you. But at least care about others.
Wow.
Great message, and that's definitely a very powerful message that needs to be shared. I appreciate that big time. I have got to tease you, Ben. I did not know that raves were still going on because I remember raves, and I also remember slam dancing. So he's talking about raves, and I'm going like those things still go on. Just really quickly, because I know we're getting ready to wrap up everything, and I did tell Ankit that I was going to give a shout out to my show as well. So we do have the online dinner party. There will be a mystery guest, a criminal mystery guest. So there will be somebody from the criminal world that will be our domestic mystery guest. And then I will have an international mystery guest as well. But then we've got some great guests that will be joining the show that are not mysteries. They are actually going to be talking about a lot of great things. I've got an artist that's coming on to talk about their artwork. I've actually got somebody that'll be talking about music from Canada. So a Canadian musician will be joining me, and Nick will be glad to know I've got a gentleman that's very much involved in the golf world. So he's involved in the golf world here in the East Coast. So he'll be talking about a golf program that he's got and is geared toward the youth and other folks. And then somehow I'm going to try to put grieving in there as well, because I've got a woman that's written a book about grief and dealing with grief. So even though the rest of them are upbeat, we're going to try to find a way to weave what she's got to say into the conversation also. So definitely that's what's going on this afternoon between the hours of 4 and 7.
Okay. Well, everyone, thank you. And listen, Thank you for showing up. We are going to wrap this up for today, and we are going to go, at least I hope our viewers tune into Sasha's investment program, which has just, oh, I'm sorry, Ankit?
Ankit's got it.
So, Bill, we are still doing Startup Wednesday till 1 o'clock. Sasha show starts at 1, which is Modern Investing with Sasha. So, we still have 1 hour, and then we have a special discussion about payments industry during the COVID thing with Ketul. So, that's why we have Ketul with us right now on IBMTV Startup Show. Ketul, how are things at your end?
It's all good. Thanks, Ankit. Yeah, it's all good. Busy life. Everything is, started backing normal. So a lot of customer calls and a lot of solutions are floating around. So yeah, it's exciting. How are you guys with you
Wonderful.
guys?
We all are good. I mean, in India, the things are a little spiked up right now because of the corona cases are growing up. But overall, things are opening up. Economy is back to what they wanted to do. Instead, we are just waiting for schools and theaters to open up. But rest, everything is trying to be normal.
Yeah, I heard a lot of COVID cases are rising in India, and
Yeah,
especially like uh, but on the other side, like economies like start backing normal because of like all the stores and restaurants and places are open now. So which is good. Same thing here in the US. Like all the restaurants are pretty open. That's a topic that I have for today. Uh, to the IBM TV viewers that everyone's familiar with pay at the table solution. In the
yeah,
restaurants where you actually have everything at your table, like you can order through your table, you can also close your check, and even the servers also doesn't need to go to the back office point of sale system. So that is widely popular now. A lot of customers are looking for it, for that kind of solution. So basically they don't want lot of interactions between the server and the customer, mainly like after this COVID thing, because everyone's wanted to maintain that, like the distance, and uh, people are not comfortable touching their devices or the
yeah.
card. So how do we solve this kind of situation? And I was talking to a few customers, and this is what the solution is very famous now. So I'm pretty sure like everyone's familiar with pay at the table, but
Yeah.
does anyone know like what are the advantages of the pay at the table solution compared to the how old school the solution that we had before COVID? Like normally the server comes to your table, get your order on the piece of paper, write the order, then they go back to the point of sale system when they actually enter your entire order with your table number. And then during the check closing time, the server comes and they ask for your card, or like show you the bill. Then you have to give your credit card, then they have to again go back on the POS station where they actually close the check, and then they again come back to your table, and then you sign. They require your signature and the tip. Then again they have to go back to the POS and then close the check manually with adding that tip on the transaction. And that is where the lot of back and forth happened. So now, especially, the pay at the table is the solution is, your POS device is communicating to the tablet device, which is or Android device, which is the server carries with them, and that communicates over the Bluetooth or Wi-Fi. And then everything what the server needs to do is like come to your table, get your order on that device, and everything they entered on that Android device, and which automatically sync with the point of sale. And then like they serve your food, and at the checkout, they have already carry that device. So all they have to do is like ask for like whether you want to split the bill or you want to pay full, and then hand over the device to you, or actually show you, and you can pay through your phone, EMV device, or sorry, the EMV cards, like chip in, or like any other foreign currency, which is like dynamic currency conversion, or the cash. So you can basically like pay through all that, and the server doesn't need to go to the POS at all. So that will basically a more faster solution that they
Yeah.
have, and obviously that increase the more serving table they do, more business revenue that they get. Plus the it helped with the fraud protection, like a lot of chargebacks happen because like the server put the wrong bill on the card, and sometimes they charge. Sometimes the customers are not comfortable hand over the card, and then you carry to the back office POS. So that will definitely help. And the efficiency, like the customer communicates to the server more frequently, and they talk more at the during the checkout, while splitting the bill, while taking the payment. So that will definitely increase the tip ratio for the servers. So it's a win-win situation for the restaurants, and that is what very popular these days, and a lot of people are wanting for. We also have solutions available with the biggest payment providers in the US, that we have
Yeah.
collaborated with them to have that solution for the restaurant's owner. So yeah, that is mainly the lot of advantages are there for the point pay at the table solution, especially in the
Yeah,
restaurant.
Katal, I just noticed
Yeah.
something that came to me recently. There was a letter that I got recently. I think it was an email, but it was one of our volunteer companies, a group that does a lot of volunteer placement for concerts and things of that nature. But they were actually asking people to become community managers, and basically, what it sounds like a community manager would be almost like a drop off point for the restaurant. So instead of like DoorDash or Grubhub, which are of course some of our popular eating services, if I was set up as a community manager, then I'm guessing that the people in my community, and I live in an apartment complex, would come to me, and the food would actually be dropped off here. So I don't know if you're seeing that and how they're going to do the point of payments for those kind of plans. Because like I said, I just got this email and just responded back to them. So I'm waiting to hear about more details about how it works. But it did seem like that's something that's going on here. And I didn't know if you were seeing things like that in where you're at.
So we don't have that here, like as far as I know, because mainly like the DoorDash and Uber Eats and all are like very very famous, right,
Yeah.
for the food delivery services. But I think that's a good concept. I'm not sure, like I have like too much information on that, but I would love to learn more about it, because what's the advantage of the community manager for uh, collecting all the foods, and then
Right.
basically uh, drop it at the community, or like the customer can come to you as a
Right.
community manager and pick up their food. But
Right.
what's the advantages of that for you as a community manager, that I'm not aware. So do you have that information, like any, like
That's what
why
I'm
they
waiting to
want
find
to
out. I'm guessing that they were going to give some sort of discounts to the community managers, to the restaurants. They might have like some special payment kind of systems that they will offer as well. But like I said, I'm still talking to them and trying to learn more about that whole program. But that's what the initial email talked about, was that there might be some discounts to the community manager. So I'm thinking that there might be some discounts afforded to the person in order to get some food discounts and everything.
Yeah, actually that is like the new concept now, that especially people are or the customers are looking for, is like how to use the normal people for delivering foods and all that, and pay them compared
Right.
to you know hire them on their
Right.
payroll. Like for example, like Amazon, right? So if you want to deliver the Amazon packages to your area or to your community or your city, right?
Right.
All you have to do is like register with Amazon as a driver or package delivery person or whatever. You don't need to be on the payroll. So like you go, they have a truck, you collect the boxes, and they basically pay you based on the boxes or based on the location. So if you deliver like 30 houses, the 30 boxes today, they pay you according to that. Tomorrow, if you just deliver like 12 boxes, right, then they pay you according to 12 boxes, but you are not on the payroll. So
Right.
technically, if you're not working, they're not paying you, right?
Right.
So that saves money for the Amazon or any other customer. Also, they give you the opportunity to earn. Same
Right.
thing on the restaurants, right? If they hire a delivery guy, then they have to pay them
Right.
regardless of the busy season or like a non-busy season. But But in this case, like, you registered with the restaurant, so like, hey, let me know when you have a delivery and I can come pick it up. So
Right.
you get the text message that, hey, we have an order and it's gonna ready in like 5 minutes on your community or on your area or region. Then
Right.
all you have to do is like go there, pick up that package and deliver. And basically they give you some percentage, right, on
Right.
that order just to deliver that. And the
Yeah.
community also appreciate you that you're helping them as well. And there is no, like, for example, Papa John's pizza drivers, or like
Right.
you are not that, you're just a normal guy who has a time to pick up the
Right.
food and deliver. So that
Yeah.
concept is now getting highlighted. A lot of companies are looking into that, like especially like JC Penney and all that, like they going into like more e-com. So you order and they have
Mhm.
one location or two locations in the city, rest of them like are gonna close down, but two of them
Right.
are like they leave it open. All you have to do is like go there, pick up the parcel or package and deliver to your whoever the owner is for the community, and
Right.
that's all. So but interesting to know like what package or what commission or
Right.
what kind of incentive that you get as a community manager. That is interesting point as well, and
Yeah.
same thing for the owners.
Yeah. Yeah, as I read more
Yep.
about this and as I talk to more of the restaurant owners, I'll definitely pass it on to IBM.TV and share that and everything on our platform just as I learn more about it. Like I said, it was just a random email because I used to be involved in the festival business. So I would get Wayfinder volunteers. So they knew that I was in that Wayfinder community. So they were trying to recruit people into that particular model. So it'll be interesting to see how that plays out. You'll get a kick out of this. I was actually at a restaurant recently and they were taking one of those payments. They were actually taking Apple Pay. And I love this joke that the person said because they were taking that particular brand and the restaurant person that was there, and I've known them for a while now, but they were joking with the person. They said, yep, we take Apple Pay. We don't take banana pay. So he was making a joke about what pays they took and what they didn't take.
Yeah, it is like Apple Pay is very, very like growing now, especially like Apple bought a company who's more into the payment world, and now they are turning into their iPhone into the point of sale system. Everything is like Apple Pay, that, right? The Apple Pay transaction is going through the Apple server. It doesn't go through any other payment, so it's directly Apple is the their server is communicating to the Visa, MasterCard, or the bank, or whoever it is, the and entity. Apple Pay is communicating directly. So basically, that eliminates a lot of payment providers in the market. If that's successful, but it's a competitive world because Apple Pay charge a higher interchange fee for the customer, or sorry, the merchant compared to the other cards. So that is what it is. Hi, Kimberly.
Hello,
Hey, hey,
Katul.
Kimberly.
It's my favorite topic, right? Money.
Yeah, money's her
Money,
favorite
yeah.
topic. Chatal, do you have any advice for people that might be getting involved in? Because I know that Apple Pay and all these different pays, sometimes they encourage people, unfortunately, into getting fished and getting like scammed and things of that nature. So, what kind of advice do you have to order for folks to use these payment systems but not get scammed? Because I do know that that's the one concern that people have is about the phishing that goes on through those kind of services. So, I didn't know
Yeah,
if you had any solid advice.
so definitely Apple Pay is the most secure way of payment today because it's directly, from your wallet to the Apple server to the bank or the processor. So that's the the most secure way. But it depends. There are a lot of other players out there as well who's providing Visa, Mastercard uh, solutions with their gateway, and depends on like how security measures they are taking based on that. So, for example, the companies like, let's say, First Data or Alevon or Thesis, right? They have a big customer market in the US, right? And their systems are pretty secure. So if any gateway service or any middleman, as I say, is a partner with them or their solution, then basically like that's a secure way of doing the payments as well. So it depends on the merchant to merchant, and like how to uh, how many customers they have who's ready to pay with the Apple Pay. It depends on that. Like for example, if you go to New York, right, then you can't really say like, oh, we cannot accept Apple Pay, because a lot of tourists are there. A lot of people are not carry their cards. They every time they have in their wallet, right, the digital wallet. So it depends on where your location is. Like for example, if you go to like normal mom and pop shop, right, in some like Kansas or Missouri or some other area where they don't have Apple users that much. So in that case, like you don't really need to have, as a merchant, you don't really need to have a Apple Pay payments, because they can pay with the card, they can pay with any other wallet like Google Pay or Samsung Pay. It depends on like what phones they are using. So it depends on your environments, depends on the business, depends on a lot of other things that affects. If you are in the restaurants business, then I would say like accept all modes of payments, because especially retail and restaurants after COVID is hitting really hard. So you don't want to go into that scenario where your customer is waiting for your food or waiting for your product, and you say like, oh, I can't accept that payment, and then you might lose the customers, or you might disappoint them, and then next time they're not going to come or something like that. So as I said, Apple is a widely used phone. Apple Pay is a good secure modes of payments, and the servers are reliable, everything is reliable, so a lot of people are relying on Apple Pay as a payments you know but I would advise, like that any customers or any merchants that they wanted to look for the payments, first of all they have to understand their customers, like who's actually coming to their stores, how they are paying. Like is there like a old people come, then they don't use that phones or anything, they always carry their debit card. So you have to know like what kind of customers that you are
That's more
attracting. Yeah, and based on that make a decision. If you are near like a tourist place, then definitely you have to have all modes of payments that you should accept.
But
And
Ketan,
that
I think during the COVID era, we have seen a different pattern of behavior of people ordering orders from restaurants, from groceries, and other things like that. Especially in India, not talking about US. What happened is that there are a lot of food outlets who serve food, basically restaurants
Mhm.
and eat out and fast food and all this stuff. But now they are not getting the orders because people are thinking that they are not taking the right precaution during COVID. But the orders is going to Zomato's and all those food runners, Uber Eats, and all those stuff. Because according to their ads and awareness campaign, the users think that they are doing the right thing of protecting the food and taking the right precautions. But what happened is that on the back end side, Uber Eats are ordering to those local restaurants, and then they're supplying using the package of Uber Eats.
Mhm.
That's a campaign going on because a local restaurant can't, do such kind of big campaigns. But a bigger company like Uber, Zomato, or different companies, Swiggy, they can do it, and people are ordering that, and that means people are ordering a lot of online food, and while doing that, they are using a lot of online wallets. So there are a lot of difference. Apart from the experience of paying the payments because of the COVID thing, they are experiencing different food quality and all those stuff, which is governed by a bigger company, and the local company can't do it. So that's why things have been changed. So what do you think
Yep.
about that, right? And also, I wanted to mention you that during the COVID era, Indians have ordered a lot of food, and the top food which they have ordered, which is like I don't have a number, but they have ordered more than 2,000 orders per minute is biryani, and
Yeah.
that's a number we got it from Uber Eats and Zomato and Swiggy and all those stuff. So I think there's a lot of analytics also behind it. What do you say?
So like going back to your first sentence, like I agree with the business model, like what they have as a merchant, right? As a, let's say like I have a normal biryani place, right, where I have a lot of customers who actually call us, right, during this time and make an order, right? But I also partner with the Zomatos or Uber Eats or any other, like DoorDash or any other food delivery processing, right? Then I partner with them. As long as for me the end goal is to get more and more customers, it doesn't matter if that comes through that
And
channel or comes directly through me. because if I get more customers, I get more revenue or more money out of it. So if the, let's say for example, DoorDash, right, in the US, right, if I get like 100 orders a week from DoorDash, right, I'm happy with that. If they take some money, right, from
Yeah.
in between, as long as I get more orders because they are advertising on my behalf, I'm
Yeah.
okay with that. Same thing, like, if you put your advertisement on apple.com, people started coming to your store, regardless, like, what you sell or not, because your advertisement is on that, on Apple. So same thing here, like, that if DoorDash or Uber Eats or Zomato is advertising, they're spending money to attract customers to buy more and more stuff online for food and all, and then Uber Eats reach out to my location and put an order, and I get the payment from Uber Eats, then I'm okay with that because I don't need to have all modes of payments because they are taking care of everything on my behalf, right? They have to accept DCC, they have to accept Apple Pay, they have to accept Samsung Pay, not me. All I get my commission or my money directly from the Zomato. So I'm happy with that. So there are advantages, there are disadvantages as well, because the more
Yeah.
and more customers, like for example, I always order biryani from you. Now let's say now I have a DoorDash and I check on the DoorDash app and they advertise, oh, there's a highly rating biryani place. Instead of Ankit, they advertise something else, and I order from them, not from you. That way, there are chances of losing that because they are advertising based on like how they make money from the merchant. Whoever pays more money for advertising, they show
Obviously.
it. So there are advantages, there are disadvantages as well. I seen like a lot of mom and pop shop like have accept like DoorDash, Uber Eats, all modes of like the delivery processing system they support because they need more and more customers. It doesn't matter if you take like $5 or $10 from my bill, which is I'm okay with that. Yep. Yeah,
Yeah, but
Mark.
that's one of the things that I noticed in everything was recently I was going up to one of the stores nearby and I noticed that it seems that some of these delivery services are actually increasing their base. Because before, like you said, DoorDash and Grubhub were strictly restaurants, but this was a gas station and they were actually had a big sign that said that they are now accepting Grubhub. And like I said, I was
Yeah.
surprised by that.
Yeah, there are a lot of gas stations are delivering now, and they accept because they know that, like, if the customer is not going out, they're not gonna come. They probably very rare to come to your gas station for gas, right? But they definitely not gonna come to your store to buy a milk or buy a soda or something because they're not going anywhere,
Right.
right? So in that case, how do you sell like your food? And a lot of gas stations are like pretty good in terms of like selling the fast food, right? The hot dogs, burgers, pizza, stuff like that. So now they started this like that Grubhub or Dash or DoorDash or Uber Eats, they come to the gas station, pick up the food and deliver. That's why they attract more and more customers, and as I said, like gas is also, I think one of the session I had earlier with IBM TV, like I mentioned that the gas is also delivered, home
Deli-
delivery for the gas.
Yeah.
So you don't need to even go to the gas station for gas. Like they come to your home, fill up your tank, and all you have to pay is online. And
Yeah.
that's what, like it's growing business as well because first of all they are cheaper than the gas station because it's a you don't need to have a facility to store the gas. You just like have a tank, which is you
Thank
can
you.
fill it up from their warehouse, which is somewhere like 20 miles, 30 miles away from the suburb or some away from the city. So they can get the gas, they can deliver to your house, which is cheaper, like 5-10 cents cheaper than the regular gas. So it's as long as like you get your stuff and cheaper or like the same price, but at least you get the good service. That is all matter now, especially after COVID, because
Yeah.
a lot of people are like very like not interested to go out and eat and like have this. But I was traveling this last weekend, like locally in DC, Virginia and stuff, and I seen a lot of people are out, and all the businesses are normal. Everything is like crowded. So I think people are now used to with this. Like they think that COVID is like just a virus. It's a normal flu thing that every season is gonna come. And yeah, because until there is a vaccine and all, and I'm not sure how the vaccine will work, so they're like, COVID is not going anywhere, it's gonna be here definitely.
Yeah.
So yeah, but it's interesting concept, especially the payment industry is changing big time now.
Yeah.
Lot of solutions are in the market or are going to be in the market. We are working like really hard now to you know satisfy the customer's need, because they, as I said, like, I was on the call with one of the big restaurant chain in the US just now, like 30 minutes ago, and they mentioned about this whole pay at the table that they want to support, and uh, what devices they can use. And there are a lot of pin pads are. I'm also working with a lot of big manufacturing company for the pin pads or the device, that to
Okay.
have a cellular chip capable should work on the device. Normally they advertise, but it doesn't work to the majority. So I'm like, let's have that available so that we can satisfy the customer. So it's a big trend now, it's going, and you will see soon, in the US most of the restaurants have newer way of payments, which we never
Because I'm
seen
even wondering about that, because I know that they talked about Amazon going to drone delivery. So I'm trying to figure out, are you going to pay the drone like you pay the delivery person, or are you just going to pay on the computer, or how are they going to do the payment with the drone? Since I know that they're talking about drone delivery coming our way very soon.
But so, like whoever is operating drone, right, either if it's a system or if it's a person manually driving, right, depends on that, like how they design. But like, for example, if in Maryland, we have a Amazon warehouse, right, pretty close by. So if
Mhm.
they want to deliver in my community, they can use drone, they can use drivers, right? And depends on who's operating there, how accurate their drone system is. Like if it's a server, then definitely Amazon never charge any money for shipping, right? So everything is free. And if it's managing by the system, then Amazon have to pay a lot of money for their system to actually work efficiently. So they don't need, they save money to paying to the the delivery guy, but they have to invest a lot of money on the the system. Or if it's a guy who's operating it, then it's basically the guy who's in charge of that, like who's responsible for the delivery. So if in case if it's wrongly puts on somebody else's house, or like let's say if it fell from that height and it break, it's everything goes to that person whoever is operating. So there are a lot of new ways. But yeah, drone system is like very, even in India, I know that in this COVID time, a lot of police or the cops were using
Yeah.
drone to monitor that area. So yeah, drone is a
It's not
big
just
thing now.
monitoring. So Ketul is not just monitoring, but we are doing a lot of sanitization through drone as well. So
Yep.
there's a sanitizing bottle, and they're sanitizing the whole community using drones. I mean, four, 5 times a day. Also, they use it for monitoring. But when you talk about delivering the drones, I mean, whatever I've learned about it, you have to pay previously, and then drone will just deliver the product at your doorstep, because delivery is happening from the mobile phone. It's not happening through drone until unless we have a system where drone is having the box closed, and once you deliver, the box will open. But that will take time because we need to have a special drone for that. But on the other hand, I would like to know. One of my clients is in Saudi Arabia, and they're having problem with the payment in that country, and they don't allow a lot of other payment gateways to be a part of it. Do you have any experience with the Middle East?
Yeah, so I was in Dubai working for Marriott in 2 years ago, and I also faced a lot of challenges there in the Dubai, especially. So
Yeah.
because they have a lot of local bank cards, right, and that design, the numbers designed for their local country, or like they're within a country, like it's not for international. So if any gateways, like which is globally, wanted to enter into that market, they have to first of all accept all those bin ranges, which is like very uh, uh, very locally designed. And let's say, for example, like in the America, if your card number starts with 412 or 4 whatever it is, that that's a Visa card. Or if your card number starts with 5 or 2, then that it's a MasterCard. Your card number starts with 6, then you know that it's a Discover or the Diners. But in the other country, if the like for example, if the card number starts with 41 or like 15 digits, or so in the America we have card numbers which is like 16. Visa
Yep.
is only 16 and 19,
Right.
right?
Yep.
And Discover Diners are like 16, 17, 18, 19. Amex is like 14 digits long. But in other countries, they have like 8 digits, 11 digits. And the card numbers are like very different. Like, they might start with 4. It doesn't mean it's a Visa. It means like they're like a local bank card. So
Okay.
your system should accept, first of all, or design in such a way that they understand like what card is that. And that's why it's a bit challenge, and that's why 2 years ago Marriott decided not to accept any other ranges other than like whatever ranges in the US or the globally that they know. So that happens, like a lot of local bank cards started not supporting in the Marriott. And that was a big thing. Like a lot of customers are complaining that, oh, I was using my card previously in this location or Ritz Carlton or the Starwood or the Marriott location, but now I'm not able to use that card. Why? So because of so and so reason, because they don't want to accept all the ranges because it might break the US
Yep.
processing. Because if you start accepting all those like weird ranges, it's which is not accepted by the processor or not accepted by the US Visa or US Mastercard thing, and then the transaction will fail. So because of that, they stop that. So on the technical side, not everyone's aware like how the bin ranges work, but your
Yep.
pin pad and everything is identified based on your first 4 digits or first 6 digits of the card or last 4 digits, that this is the brand and this is how it process. So if anything happened like which is doesn't understand by your pin pad device, then it's definitely a high risk thing. Like it might fail, it might decline, it might charge back, a lot of thing happens. So because of that, we have to understand first, like that what exactly the Saudi Arabian bin ranges are in that
Yep.
region,
Okay.
and whether that can overlap with the generic ranges or not overlapping. If it doesn't overlap, then it's okay to have that. We can add that and start accepting the payments. They can use the any other gateway, like because everyone works pretty much similarly. But if it's overlap, then it's a big challenge to support. So they based on that.
I'd I'd actually invited that client to the show today, so I hope he will join soon if that suits him because we already had a discussion. But the problem is that it's difficult to set up the payment gateway on his website because the bank is having some issues and they don't work with a lot of banks internationally, and
Yep.
somehow it's not working it out. And in fact, PayPal is also not supporting a lot of banks. So there is a lot of problem with the banking system apart from the payment system, and
Yep.
they're having a lot of issues. I told him that
So
if you can open a international account and use Apple Pay or Google Pay, that would be much easier because your bank is also taking a lot of surcharge transaction, which is quite high. So maybe it's better to have account in Dubai or maybe some other country and then do the transaction from there. That would because they have a lot of international customers as well apart from the local South Arabian customers. So let's see. I mean, what they needs to talk about the bank.
yeah, but that might be like a little bit expensive for the customers, because if you have your account or your bank in the some other country, then there is a dynamic currency conversion happen, because all the transactions are in the local currency, and then you convert that money into your foreign account.
Business, yeah, no, I got it. I got it. But Ketu, that business is not e-commerce. That business is something about education. So they have little bigger money involved. So that small percent is not a big problem.
Okay.
That's according to them. So and then if it's Saudi Arabia, so they don't care about $1 to $2.
Yep.
It's not that big for that
Yeah.
basically.
No,
Yeah.
and that's why like we also have a solution which is like directly work with the e-com,
Okay.
right? So any website or any e-com solution that they have, we can work with our payment solution, but that is basically we have to integrate with the whoever is a local bank,
Okay.
in that country. Then that's the integration process, and based on that we can provide. But if it's in the other country, then based on like there are a lot of countries regulation that we have to check. Like,
Yeah,
for example, if you are doing business in some country and your account is in different country and the payment should go in the other country, you have to register your, a business in that country, first of all, to accept the payment. So there are a lot of challenges there. So as I said, like I'm working with one of the company in Ecuador right now. And basically to have a solution in the Ecuador, I have to work with their bank to basically integrate with my platform so I can take the transaction from the customer and process to the local bank. So that's it depends on, like, how many customers I can get with that bank. Then I can decide whether the solution is doable or not. Otherwise, if I don't have like one or two customers, then it doesn't make sense to, spend money and have that integration. So
I got a point. And Ketu, also we are working, we are doing a special event about International Day of Peace on 24th September. And if you can submit something about financial peace, how financial peace can be useful during this time. Financial peace means, I mean, how easy you can do transaction without waiting for the surcharges and other things. And then that would go directly from your account to the other account without paying much amount of money. We can definitely do that. International Day of Peace is happening on 24th September, and we are doing with the people who are doing the Peace Day since 24 years. And Kim, can you share about the lineup? Who else will be joining about that event?
Oh, the World Peace Day. Well, Nick's got the list written down, but it's, Michael Douglas, Leonardo DiCaprio, Stevie Wonder. There's a long list of those who've always taken a good stand in building not just our economy, but our environment, building a more sustainable environment. And the majority of your celebrities do this. So there's a long list, more than what we could even write down. So what you need to do is tune in that day and check it out, which will be September 21st. We will be kicking it off around 11 a.m. So come in a little early while we do a little pre-chat. It will air from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. and then we'll do a after game chat, but we'll also have our standard live shows airing. And then it starts back over at 7 p.m. for those of you who missed it. So all kinds of wonderful celebrities who always get involved with how do we create world peace. And all of them have been involved with that. I hope Sandra Bullock comes and does her world peace. But you never.
Are you a fan of Sandra Bullock?
Am I what?
Are you a big fan of Sandra Bullock?
Just her movies. I mean, she went to school here in North Carolina, and and from what I heard, people who went to school with her said she was a very pleasant, very funny woman. And I've seen her, in George Lopez. I think I became a bigger fan of hers because she was such a goofball. Like, she's just a goofball. But no, again, it's all about how we can unite, build bridges. This is the 40th year celebration. And Paul Sladicus, who runs it, has been doing so for over 20 years and does a great job. He does good news up in New York. He's been an affiliate and an anchorman on many, many networks. And we're very honored to be a part of all of this. But again, I could not go and list all of the people who are involved that you might want to watch. So I just say tune in and watch. And there's celebrities on there too. So I mean, tune in and watch your favorite IBMTV celebrities because we've got all of them lining up to fill in from 2 o'clock in the afternoon until 7 p.m. We've got a long list of Mark is going to be doing his show and doing some other specials about world peace and bringing in some great people. So we're going to be, Keto might beam in. I hope Keto does. And Keto, and, we'll do world peace.
What?
So we are trying to create some kind of a sizzle reel with people from different territories around the world, sharing world peace banner and just forwarding the banner to someone else. So we are working on a lot of things. But I think, Ketul, if you have time, you can share a financial peace video, kind of a 2 to 3 minutes video, and we can display definitely that on the World Peace Day. And if you're available, you can tune in at any point of time. We are doing live shows from 8 in the morning till 9 at night. So we are
Sure.
doing round the clock shows about World Peace Day, and that's something which brings together as a world people and as a global audience. And peace is everyone would like to have that peace going on. So that's what for the Peace Day. But here, Bill President talking about the
I'm
Peace
Bill
Day.
Tresemont with IBMTV. On September 21st, 2020, IBMTV, along with our partners, will be celebrating World Peace Day. For me, this is a day of reflection, outreach, and mutual support as we think of and act in ways that we can build a better tomorrow for everyone who lives on this planet. So, I ask that you join us in celebrating World Peace Day. Remember, September 21st, 2020. Join us here on IBM TV. I'm Bill Tresemont.
Great. Yep.
But I have a question for Kittle. Here's the thing. There's a payment thing missing in our industry. Somebody tried to get it going, and it's tipping, right? And I had a friend who invented an app with a little device so that people could program the device and you scan the device. I think we can get a little bit better than that. Maybe have an app on the phones and we somehow or another scan a QR code. But tipping has almost become a far-reached opportunity because many people don't carry cash anymore. And of course, we're not traveling like we used to. But when we did, you tip the guy at the airport, you tip the person in the cab, but sometimes that's already on their bill, right? So that's okay. But for the people who don't have that, the guy who gets your suitcase, the guy who might help you at a restaurant, but not the waiter. There's so many people that I tip throughout the week, especially when I travel. So that's a payment in the payment industry that's not being processed anywhere. Have you considered this in any way?
Yeah, so now especially having these Android solutions or more handy devices, that will basically easy for the customer who doesn't carry the cash but they still wanted to give the tip, right? You can just open that the device. But for example, let's say there are different use cases. For example, let's say the ball man who's standing at the front door of the hotel and who's carry your bag, right? At that time, it depends if the hotel in whatever the property is, if they give some kind of a handy devices to that customer or to the person, the ballman, that hey, carry that device, and if the customer wanted to pay the tip, just hand over this device and then they can pay with the Apple Pay, right? So that way, if the property is investing money for this kind of devices, if they care about this kind of people, right, the ballmen and stuff, then it's doable. Or the other way, you can carry your static QR code, which is printed on the shot of that ballman, and every time you want to pay, right, you can, if for example, let's say Marriott, if the Marriott decided to pay with the QR code, right, you can pay the tip, then all you have to do is static QR code t-shirt, give it to the ballman and he can carry that wherever, and then you can just scan and pay the tip. So that solution is doable, but it's somebody has to invest that kind of solution, either the property, either that person. So for example, if you are in India, a lot of beggars carry the payment devices with them now, and when
They can
I
afford
feel,
the payment device. Oh my God.
yeah, so
Hilarious.
because a lot of people don't carry the cash, so
Right.
they say oh, no worries, just pay, you can pay through your card. So it depends who actually afford those kind of devices. And but
Somebody
in
has a
the normal
payment
scenario,
device. I
Kim, I
agree.
hate to tell you, Kim, I hate to tell you that, but that's probably coming our way because I know that I never carry cash with me, and oftentimes I'm hit by those folks that are trying to get a little bit of money, and I don't have any with me. So I think that they might be trying to get that payment device. Some of our homeless folks here in North America as well. So And now I'm going to be looking for that. I'm going to be looking for somebody to give me one of those payment things and ask me to tip them that way.
But
I'm going to just tell people to beware, because as soon as Uncle Sam finds out, they're going to find a way to tax it.
Yep.
So your goodwill is going to be not only 3% of whatever charged through the electronic means, it's going to get taxed. They're going to go, but you just made $10 for Mankit and $10 for Mark because you were on the corner of the street. So I mean,
but technically, if you think about the the money perspective, right? The beggars makes like whatever is like on the street, they makes like easily $100-$250 a day.
yeah.
Right, the cash.
Yeah.
So now let's say not everybody's carrying the cash, so if they have to use some kind of a payment device, that doesn't cost that much. Like you can buy like as cheap as like $20 a month device which accept the payment, and all they charge is like what, like 6 cents, 7 cents per transaction. Well, not the transaction, depends on like the 5 or 1% or something, depends on like what devices you use. But like if you are making $150 a day with the card and you had to pay $20 a month, right, is not an expense for them at all. Plus, even though like whatever the charges like they take, right, it's still you are in the profit. So a lot of people are using this kind of devices that they can take the payments or take whatever it is, like and that's why I said like it's an industry, like itself is an industry. Like we thought like, oh, that person is standing with the sign, like they're poor and all, but they make good money, like even though most of the hourly wages are not getting that much money than that what they make.
Well, that means somebody can monitor your every move now. So if I donated to the guy on the street, somebody's going to know that I donated to them. If you go into the stripper bar and you tip the strip girl, somebody's going to know you tipped her. So, or him. So I'm just saying that our every movement, once it becomes cashless, becomes traceable. And this is pretty interesting to me, because so many things that we did in our daily lives, I didn't really care whether it was traceable or not, right? That and maybe I didn't want it, although I've always said I'm an open book. There are just some things, I just really don't want anyone to know I gave this guy $10. But Uncle Sam's going to know, and Uncle Sam's going to, I'm going to tell you, when Bitcoin came out, do you know why Uncle Sam did not want it? Because he couldn't tax it. Right. So, but instead of saying I can't tax it, they were going, oh, it's the dark world. Oh, the bad guys are there. And they're just fear, don't trade on it. You'll lose your money. There's no way at that time. There was no way to really hack into it. The first Bitcoin was solid. Yeah. And probably the safest way to transfer money, the best way to transfer money. You were guaranteed your payment if you finished your job. I mean, it was great. But Uncle Sam was like, don't touch it. Then they came in and they go, if you do it here, we're not going to call it legal. Like, it's not legal. So I started joining groups, even though I was not a Bitcoin business person. I got involved with some groups that were fighting legislation. And I stood up and told them, I said, the only reason why you're angry and you don't want to pass this is because you can't get your little hands in it. And they were just like, and I go, that's the truth. You can't tax it. That's the reason why you don't want to pass it. So here's the thing, guys. What happened to free entrepreneurship, right? These guys got off their butts and they figured out a way to do payment industry, and you should support it, but don't punish them for doing that. And, this is free enterprise world. And they're like, and I said, but if you want in on the game, then invent one yourself. Go to the banks. Why aren't the banks doing this? Because the banks were the ones paying the government. The banks paid the government to do legislation against Bitcoin. And I said, was my fight. You're stopping technical growth when you do that. You're stopping innovation. And your job is to make sure we innovate. So their whole thing was about taxation. Okay. I just want you guys to know that. They couldn't get their grubby little paws into it. But then everybody got into it, right? You have different layers, and I would love to have somebody come on and talk about each layer and type of Bitcoin, because then you had all of these types of Bitcoins. Then I'm like, I'm really not going to get into it because I don't know who to trust. And I don't think any of them really crossed over. So if I had a Bitcoin here and then had a bunch here and then I have one over here, but I want to combine the two, I can't. So it was too complicated. So I guess it does need to come under one roof, so that we can transfer currency, but who owns it, right? And my thing, the man who built it originally was probably the most brilliant man in the world, because what he did was he got everyone's money and turned it into Bitcoin. And he's now the richest man in the world with coins and currency from all over the world that he can do what? Freely trade. So I just thought he was probably the smartest man in the world for doing that.
Yeah, definitely. That's the idea who's making him like the richest man,
Yeah, I
And
mean, exactly.
yeah, and I'm like thinking in my back head like about this the beggars thing, like showing off the device, and like you had to pay them you know money through the device. That's also like you can use as a charity, on your tax file. They're like, hey, I did that much charity and I have all the transactions listed
Right.
on it. So
That's
it's a
That's a
yeah.
very good point. I mean, one thing people don't know is, and I'm sure all the payment industries do this, but PayPal, if you do friends to friends and it's like, under $100 or something, they don't charge a fee for it. So, you can do a friend to friend with these, figuring it out, right? Friend to friend to these people. And then that way you didn't, transfer a fee. But there are just, so many different ways to do things technically. Transferring money technically to me is the safest way to transfer money today, because, you don't risk passing viruses. You don't risk the money's the dirtiest thing in your pocket.
Yeah.
And, I think going electronic, if you can build your website comfortably with a company that has put in all of those solutions to protect you, the current and latest today technology, that's the best way to do it, right? Don't be afraid. And, I don't know how the government has put their claws into all of these payment companies, but I'm sure they have, because they're global companies. I'm sure every government has their hands in it. So, I mean, you need to pay a little bit of transaction fees, because they put a lot of money in it. So it makes your job a lot more convenient. And, that's something that you have to think about, is we do need to pay for these transactions. And they in order for those companies to continue doing it, because just transmitting money for free, they can't pay their people. They can't protect your money. So you need to really take a look at that. And one of the things too I've noticed is, the banks try to get into all of this, but they don't do a very good job of it. No offense to the banks, but they really don't. A lot of banks have been hit by hackers. To me, some of their two-factor authentications are not very good. And so just be careful what you do, how you use. I try not to. I know that they make you do this, but I make a separate bank account to interface to the electronic transaction action companies. So that way it's not one of my loaded bank accounts that can be hacked into or reversed payments, which I have seen happen. I'm sure it's a lot better with your company, but I've seen a lot of things happen. So I always try to keep a separate bank account. It has the bare bones in it that I need to do business with. And then if it gets too high, I move it, right? It's like,
So that's why, like, I suggest like all all the viewers, like whoever is watching, especially I know how the payment works. I suggest like never use your bank account directly with any outside e-com platform. Always use the credit card.
Right.
So wherever you have Amazon, you have any other subscription, any other e-coms, wherever it is, always use the credit card, because credit card is responsible, or your credit company is responsible for that payment. If you link your bank account, it doesn't matter if it's like a less money or more money, doesn't matter. But if you directly link your bank account, then at some point there is a high risk that somebody take whatever money is there on the bank account. So
Yeah.
I my bank account is never linked to anywhere, like except with the bank. Like for example, if I have my credit card, which is like Amex or Chase or somebody, and then I have to put my bank account, which transfer the fund and pay. That's the only thing I do. Other than that, none of the e-com has my bank account. So that's why that's
That's
always
smart.
use credit card,
Yeah.
because if
But
anything
they're
happened,
taking money. Yeah.
like with your credit card, they are responsible, and you can always charge back that part. And
That's
Yeah.
right.
you know, so your money is safe.
Your
Yep.
money's safer. Debit cards, I tear them up because the minute they suck the money out of your bank, you can't get it back for, might not ever get it back, but at least 60 days. And I saw this happen to my parents a long time ago. And after I went through the situation with them, I cut up every debit card I owned. And like you said, I try not to, but I receive payments on my transactions, and I need the bank account there for the money to flow into. So again, I keep it very bare bone minimum. And the reason is that way, like you said, if somebody gets in there, they're not going to get everything, right?
Yeah.
You just have to be good. You have to manage your money. So when the money goes in there, you move it to a savings account, right? So it's a checking account, and you just move it into a savings account. But
Yep.
like you said, the minute they take that money out, it's not guaranteed.
Yep.
And
Yeah,
and
Because
Carl, I
that
know
is
we got to.
actually
I
uh
was going to say, I know we've got to get ready to wrap up and everything because it's almost that time and everything. But I did have a quick question for you about gift cards because I know that I get those and it's almost, believe it or not, Christmas season's around the corner. So that means folks will be getting gift cards. And it comes back to what Kim said. When those gift cards are given, after you run out those gift cards, do you suggest that folks cut them up or do you suggest that they actually go ahead and reload them? Because I know some folks that want to reload their cards and some folks are like ready to cut them up once they've spent whatever that amount is that's on the gift cards, whether it's Barnes and Nobles, whether it's Cabarrus, which is a restaurant, or whatever the gift card might be too.
yeah. So meaning, like, gift card industry is like very underrated industry right now, because a lot of people are not understanding the advantages of using the gift card, because it's, first of all, is a, you don't need to worry, like, your money is there, whatever money is there you can just spend. So you can gift cards to other people or your kids or everywhere, like, whoever wants to go for shopping. But normally it's very underrated. You can reload the cards, but not all the cards, not all the gift cards are reloadable. You can't reload certain cards, so it depends on, like, once you reload, like, let's say once you have that money, like $500 on your card, that has a limit, right? And then you spend that money, and then again you want to reload that account. Some gift cards are not accept that kind of thing, because they have their how they set that card in their system is like, once you use that money, it's gone, it's disable, and that
Yeah.
card is like completely useless. So because of the lot of fraud and things, they want it in that way. But a lot of companies are offering, like, wide ranges of gift cards, like, whatever number you want to put, like the company called givex. It's a very big company in the US who's doing a gift card, like, especially you if you go to Starbucks, the Starbucks card is reloadable, and those are the called value link card. So value link is also a company who's providing gift card, but they have a lot of certain mechanism. So if you swipe the Starbucks card, there is the track comes in, and that tracks is designed in such a way that I know actually how to pull out the actual card number, because I have that requirements. But it's a very unique way to find the actual card number, and that's why they are taking all those precautions, and that's why their cards are reloadable. So you can reload anytime. You can directly link your Starbucks card with the, but certain cards are not. It's very, like, straightforward. So if anybody copy that gift card track, they can use it outside, and that's why they try to minimize that risk. So that, but as I said, like, I wanted to share that example that one of my colleague, she works in the payment industry, and her credit card lost at some point, and somebody took that credit card and buy $800 gift card,
Oh,
from 7-Eleven immediately. And by the time she realized that her card is lost, she called the bank, the credit card bank, and then they turn off that card basically, and they block that transaction. So at that point, who lose money? All the 800, because whoever stole that card, they already got $800 gift card.
yeah,
So he's out of the picture.
yeah,
Uh, right? He's out of the picture. Uh, my colleague, her money is safe because she used a credit card, and that is actually covered. So the money who lost is the 7-Eleven, because
Yeah.
they didn't check the uh, license or something, and they issue $800 gift card.
oh,
So that's why I said, like, always use your credit card, because if she used a debit card, then the money is gone. Then the 7-Eleven already took their money.
yeah,
The thief already took their money. So whoever lose money is you. So that's why I always use the credit card, because that way is the safest. And now that gift card, he can use it because it's basically, it's not protected. Like, you can't
yeah,
really disable that card because it has money. So he can
That's
use it.
interesting. That's interesting you say that, because I noticed somebody trying to buy a bunch of gift cards up at the store, and they refused to sell them to him unless he showed them his ID, and he didn't have.
Yeah.
He did not have an ID. He had a credit card, and and they were all. I felt kind of bad for him because maybe he was, stealing, and he needed to eat. But they were mostly the food cards, and he said he was using them as gift cards. But same thing, and then they said absolutely not. We cannot. And he goes, and he was mad. He was yelling at them, and they go, well, when you get your ID, we'll sell them to you.
Yeah, because in gift card, like, if something happened, like, it's the merchant who's losing money, like if it's
Exactly.
any store, because that's a high risk
that's how the
transaction.
gift card thing is. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think we should discuss about gift cards in our next episode in detail.
Absolutely.
I think
Yeah,
because I think that's
definitely.
the topic, and everyone have a gift card, or someone gifted that card, so it's always there in the economy, and it's always there to it. But it's time to wrap up now. We are doing a show with Sasha, Modern Investing with Sasha, which is live at 1 p.m. EST. So do join us that show, and post that we have Beat Wednesday with Jeff Icon at 3 p.m. EST. So that's the lineup for the day. So do join us, and thank you very much for joining us on Startup Wednesday. And
Thank you.
and take care, and we'll see you soon. Time to go.